And we're on.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he's... I mean, I get... Yeah, I think it's like them and Huskies, right?
That's what I was about to say, because I don't know a lot about dogs, but I mean, I think anyway.
Don't you bite me. Don't you bite me.
Unless you really want to. None. Just don't bite hard.
Hold on, let me...
Of course, he's still like a puppy, yeah, so those teeth are painful.
Oh, yeah, they're daggers of death and destruction, man. And that's all he wants to do is just nibble. That's all he does. It's like his fun. That's his game. He's like, oh, I'm going to bite you guys.
Stop it.
Yeah, Des.
Stop it.
I just sent you a picture where he's sitting in our chat. Like I just sent you for a Discord.
Yeah, you better not bite.
Yeah, he's literally between my legs. Like he's sitting on the floor between my legs where I sit, and he just looks up and he's like, "No, don't you bite me, buddy." Forbidden. Right.
Yeah, that definitely looks like a wolf breed, though.
Yeah, he's the missus is in love.
Oh, no doubt.
He made his first, like when we introduced him to Bella, we took them both outside, which is what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to bring the new dog into the house.
Yeah, or else there's hierarchy issues.
Yeah, and she's a crotchety old woman. The way I look at her, she's like a golden girl. And he's all hopping around excited, and she's just like, she was just looked at him. She made the ugh noise, and I'm like, I'm sorry, you gotta get used to him. And midway through, they kind of like jostled, like, you know, headed into each other, and then the next thing I know, they're laying down on the floor, and he's like stomping on her, and she's like not baring teeth, but she's kind of like showing him like, yo, calm down type of thing, and he was like, and he made a noise. And I look over, and I hear the missus go, "He's happy," and I look up, and she's just crying, like tears are rolling down her cheeks, and I'm like, "What? What happened? What? Are you okay?" And she's like, "I'm happy. He's happy. He hasn't made a noise." I'm like, "He threw up 6 times in the car." I drove 8 hours for this dude. I hate driving to work, and I work 15 minutes away.
Yeah, I figure there. I live 20 minutes away, and it's like,
I do. I don't know how. I mean, I don't know how you guys like driving, like long distances. I can't do it. I can't. I won't. I don't. I dislike it.
Gotta work from home.
We all don't have that dream.
Oh, I have that dream.
Oh, I had
I just don't know how to make it a reality.
That's a
my skill set is not properly, is not apt to working at home. Unless I turn my home into a factory. Then I can work from home. Oh, Lord. All right.
It's this week at Bungie. I got the TWab now. Figure what.
There is a lot of information again.
Yeah, you got it, Des. You want to take it? That way I can worry about the recording.
Here we go.
All right.
Yet again. All right. See if I can make this as brief as possible.
First off, real quick, I'm sorry, Des. Lost in Red Wing. How was your Iron Banner?
Oh, yeah. It was good for the...
It was pretty good.
recap.
Did all 3 characters. Finally got all the sets except for the melee challenge. I didn't finish it. And it probably will take me till the end of the year to finish it.
How far are you into the melee and grenade? Just curious.
27%.
You're actually further than I am, I think.
Yeah, because I'm 33, and I think when I said that, Des was like, "Man, you've been punching."
Yeah, you've been grinding it out.
I'm like, I'm Cinesepsin. That's all I'm doing.
The thing of it is that I have never, since D1, ever won a melee battle in Crucible. I'd say probably 98% of the time, I come out the winner in a melee battle. So my strategy, mostly in Crucible, is to never engage in close proximity to, the enemy. So for me to kind of drop that play style and then go in there with some sort of melee plan just didn't really work for me. I tried some different setups, to try to maybe increase my chances, but the grenades are so weak, and the melee battles that I did get in with people who don't know how to play Crucible, and they basically just stood there, it took 3 to 4 melees to kill them at full health, and that's just excessive. I mean, the chances of you being able to continuously melee somebody to death without them responding is pretty slim. And generally what always happens to me, which I never understand, is it takes me 4 melees to take someone down, and it takes them 1 to take me down. And it's always been that way, and I don't ever understand it. So I probably will never get that ornament. I'm just telling myself I'll probably never get it.
Lost, did you play any Iron Banner? Did you enjoy it? How did it fare for you?
I played a little. I didn't play very much of it. And what I did play, I had fun. I didn't try to get like the ornament or anything. I don't even know that I looked at a percentage on that or even have a chest piece. I'm not really interested in the Iron Banner armor, but I'm just not a big fan of Control, the new Control. So I'm hoping when we get the 6v6, they bring back the old Control. And as far as what RWG was saying about the melee, that's been one of my big issues with PvP from the start, is melee should be a 2-hit kill. I think that's really exacerbated the playstyle of D2 PvP that frustrates everyone, just because it's one more thing along with the cooldowns that kind of takes away from what else you can do besides team shoot with a primary. Mm-hmm. But the one going back to D1, I always lost the melee battles too, except when I was on a Striker Titan. And everyone always said the Titans had the worst melee and the Tyranno arms in D1, but a Striker Titan in D1, I would shut down everything. Like Arc Blades would come in and I'd kill them with a melee on my Titan. But yeah, I didn't play too much. So, but I think the improvements that they've made are good. Our fire team all seemed to really enjoy this one a lot versus the first two, where it was just kind of like meh, and people were excited to get drops, and as we played, listening to RWG and our friends, as frustrating as it was, I think for them to know that it'll be a couple Iron Banners probably to unlock that they were having fun chasing it. Wouldn't you say that as well, RWG, that it did make it more enjoyable with the changes that they made and having something to kind of chase like that, even if it was a little punishing with the requirements?
Well, the people that we play with are really skilled in Crucible, so I don't have the same kind of thought process going into my setup as they do, and they quickly got that 100% because they understand the benefits of the skill tree better than I do, and so they set up their characters to get that process done a lot faster. And but that play style isn't really their play style, like in the back in the day, I was just like, okay, well, can I just hold a sword and use the
hilt,
the hilt, so that I can do it that way? Is there another way I can achieve doing this? Because the whole grenade melee thing is just, I guess you need both of them to help get that percentage up, but I just didn't see it for me, and I didn't really focus on it like they did. So I don't know.
The trick that I found out was you use a suppressor nade if you're well, I play Sentinel. I use a suppressor nade. It takes all their shields away, and then you pop them twice, and then that's just it worked for me. I don't know. It might not work for everybody. Somebody might be listening and going, that didn't work for me. I don't know how that does, but that's how I did it. Or just hope. Luck is another way it happened. Because just, you throw that grenade, randomly get it, you get killed, they get killed, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. That's another %. Keep it moving.
Yeah, one of my friends did the Warlock melee grenade combo, and another one used the Arc Strider double grenade melee, and they both achieved it pretty quickly. But I don't like either one of those classes really for me in PvP, so I didn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I like them hard. I mean, I know there's some people that have it done already, and wow, you must have really either stomped teams completely to death, or you're really, really, really good, which both are quite possible. So, I mean, it gives me something to chase, and I don't even like PvP in Destiny. So, it got me in, which was fun. So, also Lost, another little thing that happened since you guys were last on, and I know this surprised you guys. Both Des and I have ran the raid layer.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
Nice.
Yay. Yeah, we got our first clear in.
What'd you think of it?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Des. You can go ahead first. Cause
It was amazing. Oh my god! I actually really enjoyed. It was interesting because I wasn't really expecting the pacing to turn out how it was. Because I mean, technically, the only boss you encounter is Argus.
Yeah.
And it's like your first and kind of only encounter, and I was kind of surprised at that they actually had these series of like platforming areas with literal platforms that led directly to like something that reminded me of like Axis from Wrath of the Machine, basically, where you have to unlock him and then fight him. But I really, really enjoyed it because I mean the exploding cannon definitely took me by surprise. Even though I had heard people talking about it, but still, as it happens, it's like, oh, hey, we're falling. Where are these rings I'm passing? Oh, I'm supposed to go through them. Oops, I'm landed now. So it's like it was a very interesting thing to go through, and of course the visuals were just amazing. And of course I was lost and confused and awful for the first time through. It's like, oh, I was supposed to pick up skulls and shoot them at the boss. Oops. So yeah, very minor details that I skipped over, but it was still a very fun encounter. I think even with our issues, because we had one person drop out, with me being completely new to it, I think it still took us like a little under 2 hours.
Yeah.
To do it. So, and like I said, about 10, 20 minutes of that was waiting to find another person to replace the person that dropped out.
And that was with you, with us explaining this,
exactly.
There's two of us. I think there's two people who didn't know, who hasn't ran the raid, who didn't run the raid before. So we were, we had a shot caller who was explaining everything, and then the first couple are easy. Jump, follow each other. Oh, I fell. Okay, yeah. Jump, follow each other. I fell, and then kill these guys. And Argus is just the hardest part, really. And that's just learning the steps and having the timing down. Yeah, having like most of the people know what they're doing in the platforming, because I could see like on like first clears on how the platforming sections could give problems, but I mean, I guess afterwards it's just at least having a couple new people don't hurt too much, because I was just following the leader. It's like they pretty much formed. It's like whoever's in front of you, whenever they jump, you jump. It's like, all right, keep that in mind. It's like you're jumping, I jump, I jump, I jump.
jump.
And I think I was behind you. I was like, I'll be behind Des. That way, we can keep moving. You were going to say something, Lost?
Oh, I think it's the best piece of content that they've done since the Taken King. Excited to see the next layer, and also I believe in this week at Bungie they finally talked about the Prestige mode, and I thought that was pretty interesting. That they said the reason that they have delayed it and haven't put it out yet is because they didn't want to just do the standard, just ramp up the difficulty. They wanted to make it even better and make it even more special. And so I'm very curious as what that entails and what that'll be. But I think it, from the experience that we've had with the lair itself, I'm really excited for the Prestige mode to see what they do there and what these changes are that they're doing to make the Prestige level content better.
And speaking of this week at Bungie, go ahead, Des.
Again, this horrible list. Which I'm certainly glad Bungie's communicating, but it's like every TWab since we're going to communicate more has been like miniature novels practically, which isn't bad. It's just Jesus. All right, but anyhow, they have Chris Barrett on it first to talk about their upcoming Nightfall changes, and I guess a bit of their new theories behind it. But then again, he has a very short piece before he introduces Jon Favreau and Tyson Green to explain a little bit more, basically on just the current climate of the Nightfall and how the time limit is a little more stressful, which, I don't know. But they're introducing the new Nightfall scoring, and Tyson Green goes into detail on some of their things that they're specifically like focusing on, such as they want to reward you for engaging and defeating enemies instead of running past them. They want to avoid overemphasizing specific mechanics like precision kills that highlight certain areas of the sandbox and / or punish other areas. So the players are the ones who determine the most effective meta. They want to reward you for taking on greater challenges up to the limits of your own capabilities, and reward you for doing the above quickly and over the course of a short run versus long slogs over several hours. Then they go on the updated, going a little more in detail about the mechanics. The scoring will be team-based, and the sum of individual performances, a team should be able to focus on what works best, not feeling put out by who stole whose kill. And scoring is primarily driven, or will be primarily driven by kills, and secondarily by orb generation. Let's see, and they're warning that scores will bleed over time, very similarly, of course, to Prison of Elders, where you will basically start losing some points as you take longer. But scoring actually stops after time thresholds. If you're in a Nightfall for 15 minutes, new points earned are reduced by 50%, and at 18 minutes, you stop earning new points, and it's a race to finish the run and post your score. To, I guess, avoid some, like in...
Camping?
Well, yeah, learning basically from Prison of Elders again here. Which some of those Prison of Elders scores that they used to post were suspect. Mm-hmm. So I can see the reason, like... I mean, 15 and 18 minutes seem a little close for Nightfall, but I mean, I can understand at least where they're coming from for that. They also go on to talk about challenge cards. And essentially they're just a way to add, it seems like a way to add an extra layer of difficulty for more score multipliers. Such as, they have an infographic here, or a couple, that say things just like score multiplier 2.15 times for this Nightfall, for this challenge card, and if you're the challenges there is like if your entire fire team falls in a restricted zone where you can't respawn, everyone will be returned to orbit. And the other one's like solar damage increased slightly from all sources. And then it even has a power handicap, which, if I remember reading before, they're actually looking at intentionally making you a little weaker to increase your rewards and to increase the challenge. See, some of the, I guess, Nightfall unique rewards that they are working on right now and kind of getting rid of ores, it looks like, is specific emblems for each Nightfall strike, which will apparently show your, I assume your high, I don't know if it's like going to be a rotating weekly score or if it's the highest score you are capable of earning for that Nightfall. Okay, so yeah, it has a personal best. So yeah, it's your best score on that score, Nightfall. Right? Yeah. Or I guess team score, because I mean, scoring is team based. But that is how, once you hit a threshold, that is how you're going to get the auras now with Nightfall scoring, is certain thresholds within that. So that's certainly interesting.
I think that's something we could talk about. That sounds pretty awesome to me. It gives a challenge. It makes Nightfalls just, let's get together, let's run through this Nightfall, let's blast it. Okay, we're done. And now it's like, this Nightfall is easy. Let's make it more difficult. Let's challenge ourselves. Let's handicap ourselves. Let's go full power. Let's go. All of us use solar damage just to see how quick we can run through this. Let's different things people can do. And everybody's been saying Destiny needs content. Destiny needs content. They need the end game. The end game needs to get better, and that's what Bungie's doing. I mean, for good or for bad, for better or for worse, Bungie listens.
I mean, then this is like a super interesting thing. Like, it gives those that really want to chase that score. I mean, because groups can just get their challenge cards up and really push for that score. I mean, talking speedrunning mixed with actually having to kill things, and it's going to be a very interesting mix between Prison of Elders and strike scoring, essentially. And yeah, I'm not sure though how I like how they're moving auras away from a prestige reward. Because at that point in time, it's like, why run prestige other than just for harder difficulty and potentially more points? I mean,
yeah, I've only run one Nightfall so far, so I mean, Boss Redwing, what do you guys think? How do you feel about this whole change? Do you like it? Do you not like it? I mean,
well, I did 3 Prestige Nightfalls this week, and generally I don't do the Prestige Nightfalls because you don't really get anything out of it other than the aura. I did read the instructions, and they seemed I didn't understand any of it, really. I sort of walked away with it the same way you guys did with the whole Prison of Elders sort of vibe, especially with the challenge cards. And I'm sure there will be, it'll be easily understood once you get in and you can see how the scoring works. And that's interesting, but I'm not sure that an emblem is going to be motivation enough for people to just, do those things for, that sort of challenge. I mean, I like to be challenged too, but there has to be something that's worth it. And I don't really think the emblems that Bungie has been depending on as rewards is fulfilling. One of the things that frustrated me this week running 3 Prestige was the fact that I didn't get anything from it. And when I mean anything, I didn't get any masterwork items. And that's really what I'm chasing. Now that we have the masterwork mods that we can put on our raid armor, I pretty much now can't use my raid armor because I don't want to keep eliminating mods just to have raid armor. And since I raid all the time, I'm not going to keep chasing mods just for the day-to-day play. So now I've kind of abandoned my raid armor only to be used in raids. And so now I'm seeking armor builds that I can use for everything. Mm-hmm. And one of my problems is that the type of mods that I chase, I don't really get often. And it's been frustrating for me because on top of that, I'm having difficulty getting the, the masterwork stuff to actually apply to my armor or my weapons. And that's been my biggest chase, is to try to get the masterwork stuff so I can break it down and apply it to the things that I want to use. And so if there's not going to be useful, like, Nightfall specific loot, like weapons or armor or something that benefits you, or mods that benefits you in some way to these challenges for the Nightfall, then really it's just going to come down to people that want to challenge themselves and their team for, themselves. And that's how really you should want to play it anyway, but still people need to be motivated enough to do those kinds of excessive things. And I just don't think an emblem is going to be worth the chase.
I mean, I think if you run the Prestige, you should not guarantee a masterwork. It should be highly weighted, or like maybe even Prestige Nightfall specific loot. Like bring back the strike stuff, but only for Prestige. You know what I mean? Like the grasp.
But
like I could use the grasp of Malik. If that was a Prestige Nightfall, you could get the grasp, as opposed to just farming. Oh, the easiest version of it. Let's just run it over and over again. If I'm bringing back D1 terms,
right? But I think the argument is, and this was my position on that whole Grasp of Malik farming thing. I had more fun doing that than I did when they made the changes and they gave us a key that we had to actually randomly get in order to open up that chest, which basically just gave you the same weapon and had random rolls on it. To me, I thought that downplayed the chase that everybody had when you farmed. And that's the difference. People are asking for, strike-specific loot. And after you got that, sniper rifle or whatever that they offered in the new Siva strikes, that weapon sucked. So nobody chased after it anyway. I mean, it didn't matter how many rolls it was on it. It's really only a certain strikes that had decent guns that people like the Imago Loop or the Grasp of Malik. It was really only then. And the only reason why they did it was because there was rolls that came with it. If you start to introduce specific loot and strikes, there aren't any rolls. So you're not going to be, that's not going to drive you to keep doing that strike for that loot because there's no alternative to the original weapon. It is what it is, and that's it. So for me, it's about the things that you need to acquire to make your build, and in my case, it's mods and, the masterwork cores and things, and those are the things that I think are the only things that they have right now that are worth the chase. And if they don't drop that stuff during the most prestige things, then I just don't. To me, that's where what I'm looking for, and I just don't think an emblem is going to be what people are going to want.
So what if they, for the Nightfall, had a guaranteed drop upon completion of 5 masterwork cores, and if you did it on prestige, they dropped like 8 or 10 masterwork cores guaranteed drop? Would that give you the incentive to run it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like they have to give those things that allow you to have the freedom to apply it to whatever you want. I mean, dropping a Masterworks Nameless Midnight is too late. I've already done that. You know what I mean? But at least I could break it down, I guess, and put it on something else. But they have to at least have, whatever happened to the days in the Nightfall when you're at least, mostly guaranteed an exotic. And at that point you knew, okay, well, at least I could break it down and get an exotic shard so that I can, upgrade my whatever gun I was, wanting at the time. And this is sort of the same thing. The masterwork and the mods is sort of the same thing. You want to upgrade your stuff, but if it doesn't drop and there's no guarantee for it to drop, then it's sort of just, I could care less about an emblem. I have 80 billion emblems and I don't use any of them. It doesn't, this keeping my score or how many times I did a prestige nightfall or a prestige raid, that doesn't mean anything to me or anybody else. Nobody looks at that stuff. It's about what you can acquire that makes you stronger for the next time you go in with your character. So, that's what I'm looking for. And without those types of rewards, I don't see the benefit of it.
Well, that's what they did in the original Prison of Elders with the Etheric Light. If you ran it on not the base level, but the next level up and the ones above that, it was a guaranteed Etheric Light drop. And those things were like gold back then because you had to have one to re-roll a weapon. And so I think that, if, again, they go and they put those, instead of just having the Masterworks, weapon or armor have a chance to drop, have the materials a guaranteed drop. But also, I would put into the, and I didn't think about this until you brought up the mods, have the purple mods drop from the Nightfall and the Prestige and from Heroic Strikes, because going to what you're saying about the raid armor, I think that's 100% a thing now with the way they've set it up. That before, we just kind of had our armor sets we wore everywhere, but now with the raid perks, well, we have to wear our raid armor in the raid. So we have to have, another set of armor for regular PvE, and then I've been setting one up for PvP. So it's like all of a sudden you have to have all these different sets. And to get mods for them that are meaningful, I spent another 50,000 on mods at the gunsmith yesterday or the day before. And I got, I think, 4 legendary mods from 50,000 Glimmer. And I'm like, and I didn't get a single one that I needed. And I'm like, well, screw that. I'm not spending anymore because I'm not going to run out of Glimmer just to get nothing. And that whole system just kind of broken. So put those mods in there, or the mod components that we use 2 of them to get a random mod from the gunsmith. Put the mod components in there. Like they used to do from the old Nightfalls. They dropped the shards. What was it? The materials that they would drop that everyone always got pissed. There were 2 of like Ascendant shards and Ascendant something else, something like that.
Ascendant and Radiant.
Yeah. So drop the mod components. Stack of 15 or 20 of them at the end of a Nightfall or at the end of a Heroic Strike. Have a chance for that to drop. I mean, that would make me go and run. If I could run a Heroic Strike and it dropped me a stack of 15 mod components to take to the gunsmith, I'd be running them.
Yeah, but like with anything, once you hit the maximum amount of whatever, there's really no benefit after that. And that's sort of the problem that I have, with Destiny in general. And this holds true from day one, D1, is that once you have everything, once you've gotten all those masterwork things and you've masterworked all your weapons and your armor, there's really nothing else to chase. And so I think that's sort of the issue with Destiny in itself, is that there's never anything more that you can achieve, as you get higher. And I just built a character on my alt account because, one, I didn't know that if you had an existing game and you have another character that you pay for live, in this case in Xbox, you can play whatever you want from that one game. So I started up, I have another alt account, Sin Kitty is her name, and I created a hunter, And I decided that in this case, instead of doing the massive amount of work and farming that I do on my other 3 main accounts, that I would just sort of lollygag through the stories and through all the missions and everything. And the experience is completely different. And I sort of now understand the difference between how I approach my main game style versus this new way of just not really focusing on trying to raise my light level, to just sort of naturally let it occur. And if you sort of do that and you play the story missions and you do the adventures that they kind of lay out for you, it's sort of an organic process. And ranking up within Destiny 2 is really a fluid process that I never paid attention to before, because I was fighting the system with a D1 mentality and, like over-preparing and doing certain things that I knew that if I farmed, I would be able to, like, get these things to be upgraded a lot faster. But if you don't fight it, it actually works really well to just sort of give you the things that happen naturally to get you upgraded. And I'm almost at 335 on this account, and I barely did anything to get there. So I think if more people had or played that in that more fluid, organic way, I think this game D2 would have played out a lot better, because people wouldn't be struggling and fighting, trying to get ranked up and then know where to go after. And that's sort of the case in where I'm at now on my main account. Like, I am fighting to get all these master cores. I'm fighting to get all these mods. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm wasting glimmer. I'm burning through shaders to get glimmer. I'm, buying out of my vault like a bunch of exotics so I can burn through and get, more materials so that I can go to the gunsmith and, get him going more so I can get drop web. I mean, I'm like doing all this crazy shit to try to get certain things to build my armor, and it's for what? Like, what's going to be what is the goal there? And I think that's where I'm struggling with the reward process and versus the gameplay and what I can get out of it in its get out of its way, I guess, and I think Destiny, or I think Bungie has done a good job of creating all of these unique ways to play the game, and I look forward to the Nightfall, but without a clear strategy of what you get out of those rewards, I don't see how that's going to be better. If they don't, what they should do probably is drop mods specific for these challenges within the Nightfall that they're creating. But the problem with that is if they're not nodes that you can turn on and turn off, then you're just going through the same problem of okay, now I have to buy a mod because I replaced it with this Nightfall mod, and so now what do? Okay, well, I can build a Nightfall set and put that aside, and I have a raid set and I can put that aside.
Well, you have all that vault space to keep it all in. So.
Well, that was my next thing. So then I'm running into an issue of vault space. And one of my biggest complaints of the Masterwork PvE and PvP Masterwork is, like, I have a favorite gun, the origin story, that is my number one primary, and I use that in PvE and I use it in PvP, but I have 6 of these weapons, one for PvE and one for PvP, because I don't like to rotate weapons on accounts or my character, so I have 2 of each on each character. I mean, that's ridiculous. So you just, and maybe people don't do that. Maybe I'm just being stupid and I shouldn't have all those weapons, but that's just how I play. I have my set weapons, and I don't like to move weapons around, and so I run into vault issues. So then I've got the collector's issues where I have like all these sets of everything since the beginning of Destiny. And then I have like my PvE and then my raid, and then I'm going to have a Nightfall. And then, it's just like we need more vault space. But we also should be able to use this armor set that we like and rotate through these things. Like if I want one set and I want to turn on my raid, set, I want to be able to just hit the nodes and say, okay, I want all these mods active now because I'm going to do the raid. And if I want to do the Nightfall, I want to deselect those and select Nightfall mods without losing the raid mods or without losing my regular stuff. And that's the problem, is that the mods, once you switch another mod, you lose it. And I don't like that, because it is very difficult to get mods that you want to build your character. And I don't know how you guys fare, but I can't even get the mod to drop for kinetic weapons. I have a whole ton of 330 weapons that I would love to rank up to 335, but I can't get the kinetic weapon mod to drop, no matter how much glimmer. I've spent millions of glimmer trying to get mods for kinetic weapons, and it doesn't drop. If they don't sell it, I don't get it. And that's, to me, where the breakdown is. I don't want to, chase. I mean, a relative RNG chase is one thing, but for me, it's an impossible feat, and that's where I start to get frustrated.
I mean, I bought a whole bunch when they were on sale, so I do feel, some of that. I don't think I've seen one drop, just in the wild randomly while you do the buy. You can buy the legendary mod. I don't think I've ever seen one drop for myself. I bought them.
They don't. They have to be either bought or created through the components.
See, now I know. Thank you. I like the way they're doing the raid mods. I would see, the fact that you said you did three prestige Nightfalls this week. My jaw dropped, because, like I said, I haven't done a prestige Nightfall. And I think they should definitely, it should be more rewarding for everybody, 100%. But they have to make sure they keep that balance, right? Like, they can't overpower, a specific subset. But it is PvE, so I don't think it really matters. They're trying to keep PvP balance more than anything. So I'd say give us more, give me more, give us more type of thing. I mean, I haven't really picked up the game too much this week, which is my fault entirely. But
see, they can address that issue, though, specifically with mods for specific activities. If they want to retain the balance, this is the perfect way to do it with the mods, because, we do the raids every week, and the difference between how we were doing it before, just speaking of myself. So my setup with my Titan that I like to, I use all three characters, but with my Titan, I used the fire part of it. I don't even remember the name of it.
Hammer of Soul.
So I use that because, it has the throwing of the hammers has a certain effect on the main boss. But when you add all of the raid mods to it, it just triples your damage output. There's all different components on those mods that really ramp up the damage. And you can go from doing minimal damage on a normal setup, even if it's for solar, compared to the difference of putting on those raid armors. So now if I took that same set and I went into PvP, it would mean absolutely nothing. Mm-hmm. So they could still do this kind of stuff for PvE to make you feel more powerful, to give you that sense that your weapons and your armor is actually doing something. And that's great. But the problem is if those mods disappear, which they don't in the raid, if they did something like that for Nightfall or just strike specific mods, this would be great. But I don't want them to, say, okay, well, this is a temporary thing. You have to
constantly reacquire.
Yeah. There's no way I'm going to do that. So if they would do something like that, where you could have a specific, if they had, instead of guns specific drops for strike, like they're talking about strike specific loot, if they had actual armor that dropped with those mods like they do with raid armor, that would be something I would go for. I would totally go for that stuff. but but an emblem isn't going to cut it. So I get stuck in this weird scenario where I want to do all these really hard difficulties, but after especially experiencing what they've done to the raid armor, I just can't see having constant different builds, for each activity. They have to be able to add those nodes with the armor set that you want to use, because a lot of it is physical, right? All of these items are mostly cosmetic, and so with the exception of the raid armor. But wouldn't it be nice if you could just wear whatever you want and apply whatever mod you wanted and just had those as nodes? And I don't know why they don't do that.
Yeah, that would be preferable, because I like my armor sets that I had. I had just gotten to the point where I had my character set up how I want, and I'm not really a big fan of the raid armor, but I'll wear it now because I have to for the damage output from those mods. But not really looking forward to being the giant armadillo on the Titan. I know you love your armadillo, but not really my thing.
Well, I mean, I'm still stuck on, I was trying to set up my armor completely, with the same level on mobility and resistance and all that. I was trying to just get it really, really even on all three characters. But what I find is that all three characters don't react in the same way with even numbers. And to me, that's really surprising. Like, I thought these character builds, no matter what I did to them, if I applied, even numbers across the board, that they would all have the same response and damage output, as well as, taking damage. And that's just not the case. I mean, I'm finding that I can have practically no recovery and no resistance on my hunter and have a complete mobility build and go in PvP and not take that much damage. But I can evade like super quickly. Now, I've seen videos where people say that mobility means nothing and only it affects strafing and walking or something like that. I just don't think that's true. I mean, I feel like if you have a mobility build, you're way faster than other people, but if I do that on my Titan will immediately die. In my Warlock especially. If I have high mobility on my Warlock and low everything else, I mean, it's instant kill. I mean, I'm just dying left and right. And this is true in PvE and PvP. So I've yet to figure out the best build for each one of those three characters. So what I try to do are get the mods to accommodate for that. But then how do I then go into those other activities if I'm too weak to do them because I'm building the character to be more balanced? And so I don't want to keep having to rotate through mods to see which works best. You know what I mean? I wish that they would just let you keep your mods that you have and just sort of alternate between the ones that you have on you in your inventory and just keep attaching them to your account so that you can just rotate through those things. Because each engagement is different, Like I may want a solar build on my Warlock for one game, but then maybe I want to go Void the next game. But I can't do that unless I delete all the solar stuff and put on Void. So it's just, I think the mod system has so much potential, but I don't think that they're thinking through the waste and the struggle of getting the proper mods that people want to make their builds.
Des, you've been awful quiet, buddy. And normally what that means is there's a storm brewing. There's not like that, but not a bad storm, but there's going to be an info storm.
Well, no, there's just a lot of points. I mean, to backtrack a little, I do love the idea of like getting mod components and masterwork cores themselves to drop from like Nightfalls and crap.
Yeah, that was a fantastic idea,
awesome.
By the way, Lost. I wanted to mention how great of an idea that was, but the conversation was just too good, and I was like, I'm not going to.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm not going to railroad this one off the tracks, but that was that'd be great.
Because I've definitely been in the camp that, if you complete a prestige, you should definitely get a guaranteed like masterwork drops on your weapon and armor that you get. I mean, I'm just in that thought. Because, I mean, if it's the highest difficulty thing, then give me the good stuff. Because, I mean, so far since the introduction of Masterworks, and every time I've completed a raid, I'm getting mostly like Masterwork stuff. But, so I think that should just apply also there. But, I think, like, especially with the mod situation, I mean, I think the raid mods were kind of like, were probably a prototype of sorts. Because, I mean, just the fact that they stick to a very specific armor set, I'm wondering if they're, like, testing that to have, a different mod setup. Because, I mean, we've already been told that Mods 2.0 is going to be, or they're extensively looking into that to see the better things that they could do. And I'm wondering, like I said, I'm just curious if the raid mods were just the first thing that they could bang out, like quick ideas to increase your power, but also like I said, a prototype, maybe like a base mod system.
Yeah,
because
that
no
would
matter.
Oh, I was say that would be nice because it's just what RWG was just talking about, like
exactly
how you have to switch between. If you're set up solar, if you want to run void, then all of a sudden your armor set is just completely worthless, and you have to delete all that. So yeah, that's a good point that maybe they are prototyping that to what she's suggesting, that we can swap back and forth. Maybe that's something that is coming to all armor sets. Hopefully,
it may not be like incredibly free, but I mean, because with the way the vendors are kind of set up right now, I mean. It could be that, maybe Crucible Armors will have, these base, PvP mods, maybe, oh my God, Zavalda's armors that he gives, which, are accessible basically through strikes. Maybe they have strike-specific mods, like, basically attached to them, kind of in a similar way to the raid mods, which... in the end, I mean, it kind of still has that the kind of issue of, like I said, maybe I just don't know about how they will be capable of, like, of recoding things so quickly to have it as a free base system. But I mean, I could at least see that as a right now like issue, like, or even. Some spring or May or something, whenever they mentioned on the roadmap when 2.0 was going to drop or something like that. Yeah, May. So, I mean, I can see that as being the quicker fix. But yeah, I definitely agree, though, that, I mean, the mods themselves, we thought they were one thing, but I mean, they're kind of meh. And
they're a good idea. Everyone wants to go back to the RNG random rolled garbage of D1 that I do not want back, and never getting a weapon that you want. No. And I think that the mod system is the way to put the diversity in the game, but it's just very rudimentary and needs a lot of work. But I think if they do dial it in, I think that it could really be a good thing and really be cool how we can set up our characters, customize, make them unique. It just needs to be more accessible and flow better than it does now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I mean, there are a lot. I mean, they showed us with the raid mods. You can add so much to the power fantasy without actually having to touch like what the subclasses actually do. I mean, through these mods, I mean, there's so much, because I keep getting told, it's like, that Data did the testing, and like with these raid mods, like a Celestial Nighthawk Golden Gun can do like 1 million damage to Callus, and it's like, wow, just 1 million damage in one direct shot.
They said that they want to make us feel like gods. Success on that one.
I know. I mean, it's So I mean, yeah, they really showed, like I said, that they can modify. They can make you feel so much stronger, but they haven't actually done anything to us other than adding these mods. And I can't wait to see what else they're wrapping their head around.
But they have to do that with every armor set, though, because you know, if they're going to do a Nightfall specific armor set with mods specific to the Nightfalls, say, and you can only get that through Zavala, well, then what does that mean for the rest of the armor suits or armor sets across all the other planets? You know, those are irrelevant now because you would never want to go get those because they won't offer you anything. To me, that just seems like they're undermining their own, you know, content by just, there's no reason to get those. I mean, some of those armor sets are really cool and people like them, and those are the sets that people have built up, and that's what makes everyone different in the tower.
Yeah.
You know, people do what they want and want to look like what they want. And, you know, I would hate for Tuesday night to go into the tower and have everybody have on Nightfall specific, you know, armor. That just seems dumb. So I kind of wish what they've done with the raid armor set, you know, it kind of falls back to like what they did with the Taken King and the Prison of Elders and, you know, all the other thing. They had guns and armor that were specific for those raids, and I get that, but for all the rest of the stuff, they need to have the same kind of options, but for everyday PvE activities, whether it be strikes or nightfalls, and then, you know, PvP. So if you want to have the same set on, you can go through nodes and select them as opposed to having to buy or, you know, get the random chance at a certain state of mods like what we have now. I just think that is just unattainable and it's too frustrating, honestly. And I play quite a bit, and so if I'm struggling to get those mods and I see what's on the horizon, I can only imagine what it would be like for, you know, someone who plays casually, who doesn't spend all their time at the gunsmith grinding out the certain mods and building their character, only to go into PvP and somebody has PvP specific mods on and will just completely annihilate them. You know, for them, that's going to be frustrating. So I think it's just, you know, I hope that they expand it a little bit and take that into an account.
I mean, I would say I'm sure they would. But
I can't say
at the same time, I mean, as I've said before, I mean, Bungie has a good track record, sure, at least for the long haul. But at the same time, I don't put blind faith into people. Because people, at their core, I mean, you know, they're going to screw up. It is what it's almost by definition to be human. I mean, and the more humans you get together, it can only multiply that at times. So, I mean, because Bungie isn't perfect on individual balance passes and things. I mean, it's like them going back and reverting the shoulder charge changes that they had just taken away, that, you know, they wanted to get rid of the mobility of shoulder charge and instead use it as a targeting thing. Then they're like, you know what? We screwed up. We thought this way. We're going to take it back. But so, I mean, Bungie has made questionable choices before. A lot of them. D2 can attest. But like I said, at least for the long haul, I know we'll get to an interesting place. But I can't say for certain if Mods 2.0 is exactly where we're going to want.
Well, I got a couple things there. The shoulder charge thing, I think Hamrick's response to that they thought it was going to be the solution that they wanted.
Yeah.
They saw how it actually played out, how it affected the players, what the players liked about the previous shoulder charge, and they realized that it was the wrong change, and those things that might not, you know, be what they as developers intended, but ended up being fun in play. They want to keep those in the game. The fact that that statement exists and he can come out and say that, and that is their philosophy now, was unthinkable 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And something that someone posted, there's all the garbage over the forums being locked out now and all that, yada yada, all that stupidity. But in one of those threads I was in, someone was talking about, it's the CEO and the leadership, and it's this and that and yada yada. And I don't think a lot of people really see the big picture with Bungie, and I think that's a problem. Everyone acted shocked when there was all of a sudden the revelation that Destiny 2 was reset at the Taken King. Everyone knew back then that the person leading the team was, moved to something else or left, and that Luke Smith took over. I mean, it wasn't a secret. It was something everyone knew, that all these people that had been working with Snooski, Smith, and everyone, that they went over and took over the Taken King. But the other thing that I think is lost on people is that up until 4 months into the Taken King, Harold Ryan was still the CEO of Bungie. And in January of 2016, he was fired because things had gotten so bad, and Pete Parsons took over, which means that Pete Parsons had essentially less than 16 months to get D2 on track, to reshape the studio, get the game shipped, as well as keep D1 going and put in a plan to keep it improving and content flowing through the rest of years 2 and 3 of D1. And so I think people aren't grasping that, what existed in D1 with kind of the rudderless ship and them not knowing what Destiny was and was going to be, that leadership there was over D2 for its development up through 4 months into the Taken King. And so a lot of what we're seeing with Destiny 2 is still the result of Harold Ryan's Bungie, And so, that has to be factored in. And I think that everyone wondered what we'd see from Parsons and his effect when he took over. And I think that, it's something that's really coming to the forefront now. And in the last, particularly 2 months, we're really seeing a change within the studio of how they take feedback, respond to feedback, the communication. Look at all the in D1. What did we have? We had a community wish list. Everything that we said we wanted went on a community wish list, and it sat there for 3 years. Red Wing Girl had a great thing that she would say during D1 that the things that they can do, they do, and the things that we don't see get into the game, it's just because they can't do them. The things like the vault space or the emote wheel or whatever sat on the list, the matchmaking, it's because they just couldn't do it within D1 and the engine restrictions and whatever else was going on. In D2, we don't have a community wish list of things that are sitting there. We have, after 3 weeks, Cosmo asked for feedback on what people wanted. 3 weeks after that, we had Christopher Barrett with the first update of, okay, here's what's coming and what we're working on. Mm-hmm. And every 3 to 4 weeks since then, we've gotten a new update with not just a wish list sitting on the forums, but things that they're working on, things that are coming to the game, when they're coming to the game, timetables. This it could not exist in the previous iteration of Bungie. It could not exist in D1, and it's just light years ahead of where they were as a company now. And I think it's tremendous hope for me of where the game and company are going in the future. And I like I said, just something I don't think people factor into everything is that this company is still growing and developing, and this is new leadership that's still building who they want Bungie to be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
well, I think too with the earnings call from Activision and the huge amount of sales that Destiny 2 garnered, you would think the last 3 months was just a farce because no one plays this stupid game. Bungie sucks. I hate it. Meanwhile, the numbers reflect a completely opposite reality, and that and I stopped going to the forums because of all the hate and trolls and everything. It was just ridiculous, and the way people talk about this game, it was dead. And it's like I've never had any issue playing, or finding people to play the game, and I never really understood it, and I didn't have the same reaction that people did. I think D2 is a 100% reflection of everything that we asked for in 3 years in Destiny 1. The majority of everything on that wish list has been put into D2 with the exception of an emote wheel. But everything else pretty much in some way has been put into this D2 game, and I just don't understand why people don't see that. And I mean, even in the point of PvP, it's even that way, with the exception of 4v4 and team shooting. And I think those changes will be made, and I think they're very aware that people don't like that sort of game style, and it's driven away a lot of streamers. But I think for the average group, I think it's been okay. But, they have a lot of improvements to make in PvP, for sure.
You know what I just realized, guys?
What?
We were just on the very first topic of the TWab.
Yeah, I know, right?
Lord.
And our conversation just exploded, which I love.
Oh, yeah.
But do you have some more stuff to talk in the TWab? I think there is, right?
Well, I don't want to derail this entirely, but
no, I don't either. That's not my intention.
I know, right?
I don't know if you guys have 4 or 5 hours to talk.
I've got about another 35, 40 minutes. I have to go by. Yeah.
All right, so they next part where I left off there it is. So apparently the challenge cards for the Nightfalls are actually for prestige mode, to add difficulty to prestige Nightfall encounters for extra multipliers and such. So that's actually an interesting thing. I do like also their naming of the Void Arc and Solar Singe. Since it's only a 25% increase, it's not quite a burn. It's a singe. Ha. Anywho. But yeah, so these the modifiers on the challenge cards are just initial rollout modifiers, and apparently they're working on adding more later, and that and the other. And then they go into raid plans and introducing a new name to me, Jode Blackburn, or a relatively new name. And talking about some, let's see, for Destiny 2, we wanted to release raid content on a more regular cadence than we did during the first years of Destiny. In our original estimation of this work, we knew we would have to focus on normal modes, foregoing layer challenge modes, and having the prestige modes rely on enemies that are more lethal and harder to kill. So as we got closer to releasing the Prestige Eater of Worlds, we knew we wanted to do something more. Over the past few months, we've been prototyping a new way of adding difficulty and replayability to raid activities. So what he ends up talking about are these curated loadout modes, which are opt-in. This new version of Prestige requires players to complete raids filled with deadly enemies using a curated loadout of weapons and a special modifier that enhances the way you play. Sounds a lot like Challenge of Elders.
It does.
But yeah, he does. But so they give a bunch of examples of this, which he does say they don't want to specifically say what they're working on for the raid. So these are hypothetical examples, but to kind of give us an idea of what they're wanting to go with. So, but this hypothetical 3-week thing, so it's like week 1, the raid activity is Eater of Worlds. Modifiers, marksman, precision damage is increased. Landing a precision shot grants 1 ammo directly to the magazine. Required loadout, kinetic, hand cannon, energy, scout rifle, power, linear fusion. And then week 2, raid activity, expansion 2, raid layer, modifier gladiator, your melee damage is increased, and melee kills grant bonus super. Required loadout, sidearm for kinetic, SMG for energy, shotgun power. Then week 3, Eater of Worlds, modifier conduit. Each kill you get before reloading or swapping weapons gives you increasingly more ability energy. Required loadout, kinetic, auto rifle, energy, risk runner, and power, grenade launcher. We also note that the Eater of Worlds is not getting any specific encounter changes. All the previous prestige changes in Leviathan will be active when players engage in its new loadout difficulty. The goal of the new prestige mode is simple: provide new ways to engage with raid content each week, new ways to engage with different weapons in your vault, and new rewards to chase. Let's see. This is currently slotted on the roadmap for May, but this is a major overhaul and could be pushed out further. We'll keep you updated. So yeah,
that just sounds cool.
So one of the things that you brought up about the modifiers and the Nightfall and how those things works, I don't know if you two are familiar with how Halo worked, where on the Lasso Nightfalls that you used to be able to do back then. And back then the modifiers were called skulls, right? You could select several skulls and you had to do certain events to open those skulls to actually apply them during that nightfall. Some of them helped you, some of them didn't, but the more skulls that you used, this would increase your score, which translated to credits, which actually levels your character up.
Yeah.
And so for me, this is a really kind of harken back to that thing, which I've been asking for years. So to me, this is a really good thing. And the only thing that I really wish that they could translate that into is, I get the challenge cards and the high score, and, you can wear an emblem to show it. But I kind of wish that they would have an overall character achievement sort of recognition that you always had on your character. And that's what they had in Halo. And, people say, why don't we have Grimoire score? You could tell a person's, skill level based on a Grimoire score, which of course wasn't true, but people use that as a way to judge other people. And I really wish that they would take like the Bright Engram system or some other way to attach a level of scoring for each person, each account. And I don't know how they would implement that in a way that people could recognize that, but it would translate in everything so that you would see, okay, somebody has put in 10,000 hours, has done 80,000 prestige nightfalls and 80,000, prestige raid layers. That's what people really want to see. They want to be able to show off all of their accomplishments in a meaningful way that translates to everybody else that they come in contact with. And I wish that they would take that scoring system that they're building on and make it meaningful outside of yourself. But they don't, they have this mentality is that they don't want people to be, upset because somebody else has something better than them, kind of a thing. And I don't know why they do that.
The youth of America. When you guys were all talking about the emblems earlier and how and I think RWG, you were talking about how they put the score on them earlier. I was thinking then that it would be cool if we had like a record book that had all the emblems that track stuff in one place, like the old record books, and you could go and you could open that up and you could see, here's all my Iron Banner and my faction and whatever, strikes and raids and all that in one place. But I think that could go to what you were just saying as well, with that, because you're right with that score, the Grimoire score we had in D1, what if we had that record book that we could go and it tracked all our achievements in one place and all our ranks and our high scores in the Nightfall or the raid or whatever. But also that book itself, everything in it contributed to an overall like score. Everything gave you, a point system to something, and so you had we had our grimoire score for the first one. You had a scorebook number, and
well, we do have that.
Showed up.
We do have that. It's called DestinyTracker.com. What I'm talking about is have like a name or a description of your level. Like, on every emblem, it translates to what your level is. Like, people don't have a way to gauge the differences between each other. Everyone is level 335, therefore everyone is equal. But that's not really true, is it? There may be somebody there that is a PvP god and may have a different, level of score than, say, I would. It would be nice if you could see that translate somehow by, in the case of Halo Reach, there were different names for your level. It would be kind of cool if they did something similar to that so people could differentiate, what your level of success is within the game Destiny, and they don't have anything like that.
Well, in PvP there is. When they come out with the ranked playlist, there's the glory and honor. Is that? I think that's what
Valor? It's like that.
Valor and glory. That's coming actually. That part's coming for PvP guys or players. But for PvE, I think I know what you're talking about. Like something that you can see, like, oh, Red Wing Girl. I'm just using you as an example. She's done 2,576 prestige nightfalls. Buster Knuckle did 1. So
right, but I
like
mean,
a score kind of thing, right? Like
yeah, but I'm
Valor
talking
or whatever.
Right, but I'm talking more in depth than that. I mean, as an overall success as a character, PvP included. Like, come up with a naming system, or like beginning, intermediate, legendary, heroic, or something. Come up with a level of description for a character that's meaningful, so that when you look at somebody, you may not know that they've done 10,000 raids, but that in order to get that status, they've had to at least done that many raids. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, okay.
Like, so we have Master at Arms Red Wing Girl 1999, and we have Kindergarten Buster Knuckles in the tower.
I mean, something like that to me would be more meaningful than, that guy's got an emblem on, he's got a 1.3 KD. Okay.
Well, what I was thinking with the scorebook is, have that attached where, when you look at someone and their, their profile or whatever emblem they have on, where it's got their light level, then below the light level, it could have their
Grimoire score.
Their score, from that. If there's the scorebook score, if they have that scorebook that tracks everything and it gives you an overall score, then that score could be below the light level. Is kind of what I was thinking with that. But yeah, it's all on like Destiny Tracker and whatnot, but it needs to be in the game, I think.
That would be cool. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, because being an MMO player, what you're saying, Red Wing, sounds a lot like basically titles in MMOs.
Right.
Where if you accomplish a certain goal or a feat, you do X thing, or X thing so many times, or X thing while doing this.
Leroy Jenkins?
Exactly.
I want to be Dragonborn. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I want that.
Yeah, you can have like a title attached to your character that people see, and then, because that is like an interesting thing.
That's a really good. Yeah, world. I hadn't even thought about that, and the World of Warcraft and the titles that you could get for, when you did the Leroy Jenkins achievement, you could have that as your title.
Yeah.
With your character. That is a really cool idea.
Well, people talk about, how there's been a recent discussion about how there's no dialogue in Destiny, and people started to say, well, really, I'm not an individual. We're just all guardians, and we're all trying to do all these different things to, kill whatever, right? Like, we don't have an identity. We don't have a voice. We don't have anything exclusive to ourselves other than the different armors that we acquire or whatever, like cosmetically. But in terms of status, we don't have that, and I think would fill a void that people would have then their own individual status by giving them some sort of a name or whatever. And I think that's one way that they could make that change. And I just don't think it would be that difficult to implement, because it's all the numbers are there. They're already tracking it. And maybe I'm naive. Of course I am. I don't know anything about coding, but I'm just saying, to me, it would seem like it would be a simple addition that they could attach to a name and just apply the numbers of whatever that account has done, kind of a thing.
So I
was just thinking they can, in fact, even have these titles unlockable in a record book fashion, even to give you a progress on titles. And like I said, you have these progress bars and see how far you are from these titles or whatever. But that, and I do love the idea of returning record books. I do love that.
I think that's what I love about these conversations and being on here and talking Destiny with all of you is that you get to these things that you've never considered. And what you just brought up, RWG, with the titles, and then, taking it to the World of Warcraft, like, it really would be something so cool. So, like, say you got you were able to collect every weapon from the gunsmith. You could get the title Master of Arms, and you could put that below your name up on your emblems, and it would say, Red Wing Girl 1999 Master of Arms. Or if you complete the Prestige raid, it would give you like some Callus themed, like, Callus's Elite, or
Callus.
what, yeah.
Callus' Shadow.
Or if there's the Prestige Challenge mode, you complete the Prestige Challenge mode for X boss. It gives you, a title that you can show, hey, this is something that I did and I unlocked that, not everyone can have. You have to have done something really special in the game to do that, and again, like, collect every weapon or, whatever. I mean, there's so much that they could do with that and really open up a lot of, I think, fun grind there.
Well, you're talking about individual achievements that you could note on your account. I'm talking about basically an accumulative name or whatever based on a scoring system. So if you do a Prestige Nightfall, you're going to get a higher score regardless, as opposed to just doing a Nightfall, right? So you're climbing a ladder at a faster rate than someone else is doing those same activities, but in a lower level. So I'm talking about an accumulative thing on a whole host of activities, as opposed to now, which is what you're saying, Master of Arms. Well, they do have emblems that will show that you've done these individual different things, and those are all good.
Yeah, but if you don't like the emblem, you're not going to wear it.
Right. I think they could do it as a cumulative thing. God, I can't even say it. Cumulative thing. Like you're saying, I think that it could go there as well. And the higher you progress, if have the scoring like you're saying, where you that Guardian score, like that Grimoire score, and you could, as you reach plateaus, didn't they have like what were the things in Halo? Wasn't it like Admiral and Commander and stuff like that? How did they do it? Because I didn't.
Yeah, they had different names.
Yeah, so they could totally do that, where you could get those titles like that as you get higher up in score, and you have to achieve score thresholds. But I think that just overall, it could be done on individual levels too. I just think the whole thing is a cool idea for individual and cumulative. I can't say it. Cumulative. Yeah.
The thing about the Master of Arms thing, going back, is I think in the TWab they were talking about Crimson Days. How I'm not sure how exactly it is, and you guys have the TWab there of they've created some sort of method in which you won't the likelihood of you getting duplicates will dramatically be reduced. And I've gotten every gun in the game, and I have every piece of armor and every exotic. Like, where do I fall in that category? Like, it's like, I think most people that play the game a lot are in the same position that I am. And that is only meaningful for a percentage of people that play it sort of casually. And so for us, where does that leave like us? And I think that's kind of like what everyone is disgruntled about, is that there's nothing new or nothing left for us to kind of benefit from. But if you continuously like to play, and you're always playing, and you're always, driving for, more activities under your belt and higher scores and whatever else, that's where I just think that this part will always be something someone will look at. There are people that are driven by that. I'm sure in other MMOs, people are driven by that too. Oh my God, I just did a raid with this god. This person has done everything because look at their title. And that's where I think this would benefit in Destiny to drive people to play games more.
That was 100% the case in World of Warcraft. You'd sit there in the public spaces, for the Horde or the Alliance, and you'd see the players that completed the heroic raids back then. That it was the elite of the elite that were raiding, that were doing it, and they had the armors and the titles, and you're like, when you saw them come through, you're like, man, this fucking person has done some shit. And yeah, I think that would be cool to see in Destiny.
So real quick, just so I can clarify the idea that you for the titles, Des, like in spoiler Paladin's warning, guys, like in Paladins, like when you rank up to level 20, you get, like, for Pip, it's the Master Arcanist or Alchemist or whatever. Is that what you're talking about?
It's kind of like that, because when you max out a character, you get a specific title that you can wear, and then that title shows up underneath your loading frame, and even like the new comp title for getting like 200 wins in competitive, you have a specific title that you can wear, and like I said, it shows up underneath your loading frame, regardless of who you're using or whatever. So yeah, you can tell those really hardcore, like Victor and.
Like for a Destiny example, if we had a record book, they could have hidden ones that aren't listed. My example that popped in my head when you guys were talking about it would be like, if you one cycled the dogs in Callus, you would get the Beastmaster or something like that. Is that what you guys were thinking? I mean, I know Red Wing Girl, you were thinking of more of a bigger overarching score, right? That's what you were thinking,
right?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, for right now, and this was true in Destiny 1, if you went to the tower outside of the Grimoire score, you would know that someone had just finished the Prestige because they had the flames on. The same is true today, is that if someone has done a Prestige raid or a Prestige whatever, because you visually can see them with the flames. But it would be great if you could actually translate that score or that accomplishment to a name of a character when they rank up. The only downside of it is that we know in the past Bungie has walked those achievements back because it's hurt people that were looking for LFG players. Mm-hmm. So let's just say that you have 5 legendary raiders, and they create an LFG request, and then their criteria is only legendary, players submit, right? And that's where people start to fall into this pattern of where Bungie, I think, just caves into that. They don't want. I feel like they don't want people to feel like they're going to be rejected because they don't have that status. But, I just don't feel like that's a huge, huge problem. I feel like, they have they have guided games, and the people that we've taken through these guided games have never done the raid before. People aren't going to shy away, Of course there's going to be those assholes that are going to be like, you have to have the Gallhorn. This always will be the case. But I think the majority of people are open to bringing in people into their raid that have never done it before, and like to walk them through the process and enjoy how much they enjoy doing it for the first time. I mean, that sort of is good. I think it's healthy. It keeps your team alert, and there's all kinds of benefits for doing it, in my opinion. It's not just because you need that 6. I just think it helps, you hone your own skills in helping people do it. But that's just me. Maybe and some people don't look at it like that. They're really hardcore, and if you're not hardcore too, they don't want you. And I've been in raid groups like that. We used to have a guy, or we called him the Nazi, and he would say, if you don't do what I tell you, you're out. And you would just be stricken in silence because you. Oh,
I would just I would just do the opposite just to mess with him.
See, well, I'm kind
bear.
of a serious gamer, so it's like if I feel like I'm not performing, I immediately regroup and I focus completely on myself. Yes, I look at what other people do, but I am like really, if I'm underperforming in a group, I really am very critical. So when somebody tells me you do this and that, and this was back in the days of Vault of Glass, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and this guy is taking me through, and I learned a lot from that process. It's like, shut up, quit screwing around, you need to focus on this so we can get it done. And a lot of people don't raid like that. A lot of people just like to joke and laugh, and that's all good and fine once you got the raid down and you can do all that. But if you're talking and screwing around and whatever, and you end up wiping 20 times, people get pissed. So I kind of appreciated that, but I'm getting off the conversation now. But
welcome to RNG Cast. That's what happens. We have that ability we have that effect on people.
Anyway, I just think that this is something that is needed in Destiny. I've always felt that way from the very beginning. I've talked about it before, and I kind of really wish that they would give meaning to our accomplishments in more than a weekly flames or anything else. Right now we don't have anything. At least we had the Grimoire score, which didn't even really matter, really. It had meaning behind it in some cases, but the others it really didn't. But I do think that they need to give us some kind of way to show it off and to strive for it, because if they said that the highest level you can get is a heroic legendary badass, you better believe that I'm going to do everything and anything that week, every reset, to get to that point.
Mm-hmm. Badass RWG.
That's the one thing we got. That's the one thing you get from this episode. That's what you got.
That's going to be the name of the episode. Badass RWG.
There you go. You named it. Done.
It's done.
To the Bungie, being apprehensive, I get it. It's why we don't have, a lot of the chat functions, why it's set to off by default, because people can be assholes. But at some point, you can't always just constantly try to protect people from themselves. And at some point, it's on the community. With guided games, I know it's been mixed reaction, but guided games, for all the shit that it will get if you go to the forums, it actually is a really good system, and we've done it many, many times, and we've had one person that we didn't get through because they got disconnected and didn't log back on. Everyone else we've got through, and it's been some of the most fun raids that we've done, because you're taking through someone that in 95% of the cases have never done it before. And how many of them, RWG, would you say have said they've never even raided before? There's been quite a few, haven't there?
Yeah, there has. Guided games really opened it up for the solo player.
It's bad for them. Rated this game. I haven't
rated ever.
They haven't rated ever. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and so it's a really cool thing, and it's in the game. So that whole D1 must have galley argument doesn't really hold water with D2, because you can go and the load time or the wait times are there and they kind of suck. We've had people say they waited an hour to get in, but if they make it, I don't know how it works, that you can do other things while you're waiting, like you could in World of Warcraft and go run a strike and it pops up. I don't know how that works if you're a searcher, but
you're locked in the queue.
Okay,
yeah,
so you just
can't
sit
do
there.
Anything.
Yeah, so they need to fix that and work on improving the system, but the system itself is a good thing. And we've had nothing but positive experiences from it. And D2 needs more of that. And it's on the community to use it. There are hour wait times for people that are trying to join up and find a team. But that's because there aren't enough teams that are out there that are willing to use it and look for people to take through and use that to fill out their raids. So there's that as well. It's on the community to go and be willing to lead people through as well. So
yeah, that's actually an interesting thought. The fact that there are hour wait times is because there's one team that wants to do it, as opposed to where we should, as a community, be like, oh well, there's only two of my buddies. Two of my buddies are on. We're gonna run a Nightfall. Let's go do guide games, and it'd be boom, instantly in. Yeah. As opposed to, let's say I'll use myself as an example. I get off work at 4:30 in the morning. Very few people are up at 4:30 in the morning. Yeah. We Nosferatu are very, we're few and far between, unless I go to the occasional UK player or Australian player. If I hop on Guiding Games and it tells me an hour, I'm out. I'm done. I'm not gonna sit and wait an hour to run a Nightfall. I'll do my my milestones, and I'll just whatever. If somebody's on, they want to do a Nightfall, I'll do a Nightfall then. What we should be, as like I said, as the community, be like, well, let's see what Guide Games look like. Hit the button, launched, done. That's what it should be in a perfect world. And I think they're going to work on that more. They're going to fine-tune that more as well. So,
well, I think what it proves is that matchmaking really would have been a fail.
No.
Yeah.
If how many times did you sit in a fire team, or you try to do a strike in D1 and that thing would spin and spin and spin and spin and spin and spin, and you would be waiting, and then it would just load you in by yourself. Yep. I mean, that's sort of the same thing, and I know a lot of people complained about matchmaking, about, the matchmaking should have been in the damn game, blah, 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 but it kind of just proves the point, People want to get into a matchmaking and a raid, and then these poor people are sitting in there for an hour, and that's terrible.
Yeah, it does remind me.
That's why LFG is so much more successful, and if they had their LFG within the game, I don't know how they would do that, but a lot of people have asked for that too, like have a board at the tower or do something where people could access other activities. But
yeah, that's definitely, I do agree, that's something that they can kind of learn more from MMOs again, because two that I've played here recently, they have these, essentially, I think in Final Fantasy 14 they called it a duty finder, and you go to a overarching list of activities you like things you want to queue for, and then you just let it spin, and you find you let it find a group for you, but I mean you're not locked into a singular thing. As you can just go around, you can screw around, you can do things as you wait, which in Final Fantasy 14, if you're not a tank or a healer, you're in for a queue time, because the amount of damage dealing classes like far outweighs your tanks and your healers, so there's always more damage dealers queuing up than tanks or healers, which that's usually the better way to go for queues.
Yeah, I think they just need to, like I said, just let you do activities and have it pop up and give you 2 minutes to accept, and if you don't accept within that 2 minutes, then it moves on to
the next person.
And it drops you back into the hopper.
Which is also a thing Division does very well as well in their matchmaking, and the fact that it's like a background thing. and then when it finds you a group, you have a button press that pops up on your screen, and they have basically a progress meter for how long you have to accept that button press, and if your progress runs out, then you just missed your grouping opportunity. But yeah, that's, like I said, it's definitely something that Bungie could learn from other sources.
I have to go in a minute here.
Lost, thank you for coming on. Again, thank you for giving the second chance to the RNG cast. We appreciate it. Red Wing Girl, are you staying, or do you have to go as well?
I probably need to get going too soon. So
okay, well, then both of you, thank you for coming on.
Can I tell you that I am right now a popsicle, and I have suffered to be here and talk Destiny with you, but it's been worth it because I'm out on the sun porch, and I forgot when I closed the door to the house so the dogs don't hear me and start barking that there's no heat out here besides a little radiator, so it's like 5 degrees out here. So I'm under an electric blanket, and it's helping a little, but I am as froze to the bone about as it gets.
So you suffer, and I appreciate it. If it makes you feel any better, my puppy has the worst gas I've ever experienced. So we both are. Why don't you both tell everybody where they can find you and listen to your amazing podcast as well? The floor is yours.
RWG.
go for it.
Well, you can find me on Twitter, LostSols with an _, and we haven't done an episode in a little while of the Truthcast, but Destiny Truthcast, hopefully we'll be able to get back to recording those in the future here, and it's on SoundCloud if you want to find previous episodes. We've, I think, 64 or 65 of them up there. And yeah, so Destiny Truthcast on Twitter as well.
And I'm Red Wing Girl 1999 on Twitter, and you can find me there.
Badass Red Wing Girl. You gotta say it right.
Badass Red Wing Girl now.
And if you want to hear some music, you can go to my YouTube, LostSols. I've got 4 albums I've put up there in the last 2 weeks. If anyone's interested in listening to some of the music I've done.
Thank you both for coming on. I did notice that you have been tweeting about that loss, and I was gonna, as soon as I had a chance to breathe, I was gonna check it out, but I definitely will. Thank you both for coming. We
really appreciate you having us on.
Us.
It's really fun time. You guys are great.
Thank you.
So
and I can't wait to actually listen to this one.
Yeah.
I was really bummed that I didn't get to listen to the last one. So
and you can attest that actually you were one of the ones who one of the few people who have listened to that terrible recording. You can attest that that wasn't me being overly dramatic like I can be. That was actually a terrible recording quality.
I'll tell you what, it was actually worse than you described. If that was possible, So I mean, it was like three people were unintelligible low, and one person was like the voice of God from the sky. So it was crazy.
And it changed throughout the recording. It wasn't one recording overall. The person, the voice of God switched between all of us. It was weird.
Well, it is the RNG cast, so
that is true. That is true as well. You got that right.
Right on. I got to get going. I'm going to be late for work, but thank you again for. Oh no, it's all good.
Have a great weekend.
Yep,
we appreciate
it. All right, thanks, guys.
All right,
thank you.
See you guys.
Have a good day.
You too.
You as well.
And that was Red Wing Girl 99 and LostSols from the Destiny Truthcast that joined us. Incredible. Great conversation. You actually listened to it this time.
Right?
Now, Des, we have more of the TWab to talk about.
We have one more thing. There's one last thing.
Okay.
And it's a small little thing, but I mean, it's not.
It's by no means we're going to talk about it for at least an hour and a half. No way in hell, right?
No. That's because, I mean, they're talking about the final thing is they're talking about the Lecter snafu that have been happening. Which they had a 10-minute lockout on chests. They dropped it to 5 as a temporary fix. But it wasn't the solution they were looking for, and they introduced another new name for me, Alice Velicki. Sorry, but
I apologize.
Yeah, but apparently next week they're having a hotfix coming in, and they fixed the underlying issue that caused Lost Sector chest exploit. Players can now only open the chest boss. Excuse me, Jesus. I was hoping to dodge that. But, let's see. You can only open up a Lost Sector chest once, but it will still be capable of respawn because of a larger issue. But if it does respawn now, it will require a boss kill again. So unless the boss respawns with the chest, which hasn't happened to me during, the weep runs. But yeah, so you'll need to re-kill the boss for that Lost Sector in order to reopen the chest. But in the short term, they're actually completely getting rid of the loot lock because of this fix. So you can go in and you can do Lost Sectors as much as you want. No lockouts, because they found a way to finally attach the code requirement better to freshly respawned chests. It sounds like what happened before was, even though it had like a code requirement, like the respawning of the chest, and since the boss didn't respawn, it seems like the chest thought maybe the boss died again.
Oh.
Is kind of what it sounds like to me. The system.
Runs, what we used to
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why it would work, because the chest
Yeah.
was like, oh, the boss has dropped again. Okay.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, the boss isn't here, so he must be dead. Loot me.
Yep.
Is what it sounds like. So now they're properly attaching that tag to respawn chests to have a code requirement still. And they do want to acknowledge the interest in expanding Lost Sectors. They do agree, and they are looking into ways to do that. They aren't sure exactly, so there's no specifics, but it is something that they're looking at. This hotfix is going to be on its way Tuesday. So for Crimson Days, because that's the same time that Crimson Days is starting. So after this hotfix, no more loot locking, no more chest exploit. Kind of two birds,
one stone.
Thank you. So yeah.
And I mean, you mentioned something I was going to bring up, and I was kind of hoping we could get in with get this part in with Red Wing and Lost, but man, we kind of fell right into the RNG pit on that one, didn't we?
I know, right?
You mentioned Crimson Days, buddy, and
yes, Crimson Days is returning,
and they made it. I like it. I'm not gonna.
It's interesting. It's Crimson Days V1 was kind of about working as a team, but if you lost your teammate, you kind of became a god.
Yeah,
so that's kind of what the original Crimson Days was centered around, and in fact, it was even viable strategy. Like if you were with someone that was way better than you at PvP, to just rush in, die, and have him murder everyone.
Yep. The Heartbroken buff was ridiculous.
Yes, it was. So it is 2v2 clash. It is a round-based twist. So essentially, it sounds like what was the old game mode? The Trials was? What was it called? The old Trials game mode is what it...
I think it was just called Trials, right?
Had a name, but I can't remember what that name was. Crap. Anyhow, that's what it sounds like still, because it's basically you knock everyone out and then you repeat a round. That's going to bug me for a while. But anyhow.
Countdown? Survival?
No, that's the new ones. Elimination. There we go.
Okay.
Whew.
Man.
Finally came to me. All right.
Thanks for the concussions. Appreciate that.
Yeah, they're also introducing a new buff. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's not the buff. They're introducing the Burnout. I thought that was the name of the buff. Anyhow, which is the Burning Shrine returning. And it is set in the future timeline. So what does that mean?
It's dark.
No more outside advantage.
Yep.
The sun is not going to blind you when you go outside. Thank you, Bungie. Let's see. The sun is darkened, and the only light to be found comes from you and your partner fighting as one. So, yeah, this sounds like an amazing thing, because I loved Burning Shrine. I hated the outside mechanic because it was a viable strategy. You can run outside, you can, peek the doors with your sniper, and you saw them before they saw you. It was viable. I'm not going to deny it. I'm just glad it's fixed.
Also, not mad at them bringing back this map.
I know, right? I
like that they bring back the maps that everyone has fond memories of.
And this is the thing, because you do see some gruff about them, bringing maps back.
Of course you do.
But at the same time, I prefer them bringing maps back for these events and stuff than bringing maps back.
Just do it
with replacing new maps essentially with expansion releases. And that's the much preferred methodology, I feel, for me anyway.
I also like that they that once they bring them back, okay, for this it's going to be Burnout, and then it's in the rotation.
Exactly.
Like that.
I like those. I really like this introduction of the map. Sort of. I mean, it may seem like they're slacking in some areas, bringing things back, but at the same time, I mean, it's not. I do kind of like it.
Shut up! And to that, I say, shut up! You brought a sequel.
Right.
Assume you're going to see old content.
I mean, then, like people say, it's kind of like a Bungie caveat. It's definitely a Call of Duty caveat.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the popular returning popular maps, if you go into a COD, a map from 10 years ago that people still like, or however long ago, it's probably still going to be there in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a thing.
The example I think of is shooting range and studio in Black Ops 2. It was one of the best maps in Black Ops 1, and they're like, oh, well, let's just bring this back, and we'll make it look like a studio as opposed to a shooting range. Done.
Yeah.
And it makes sense in the story. The map.
Yeah, actually, the fact that they're fixing it that way is, like I said, that's just fantastic. It's like, okay, the sun was an issue. We have this timeline now where everything's super, super dark. The sun's dead. So, use that.
And it would be cool to see the Vex eyes all around, too. They can
right? If you see, a sea of Vex, moving around in the background.
Dope.
All right, so the mechanic in this one, if you are in close proximity to your dance partner, your abilities recharge at a faster rate. If you stray too far, your enemies will be given a waypoint leading to your location. This is dope.
It really is.
I mean, this really because the Heartbroken buff was kind of a cool mechanic. It was a cool power mechanic. But this really fits in, Crimson Days. You're finding a partner. You're wanting to work with your partner
together
to take down people. So, I mean, giving this where it's essentially electrostatic mine from D1. If you're close to your people, probably not for super regen. Maybe they do say ability, and there's a lot of things that have ability, energy that does affect super. I don't think this. I'm not going to assume immediately that this changes super. I'll say that much. But the fact that if you're actually straying, this is not like a lone wolf, play style. I mean, this is definitely promoting. If you stray away too far, all of a sudden these other two people's get him. He's there. I mean,
there's my target.
Yeah, it sounds really, really cool. This time around, like I said, it really does seem to a little more exemplify the spirit of Crimson Days. rather than just becoming super powerful because your best friend died.
Now, have you seen the gear? Have you seen what?
I'm getting to it.
Okay, buddy. Okay.
I wanted to find the buff because the rewards, very, very interesting. Like leaps and strides in this reward system. Let me tell you what they are bringing back. 4 crimson engrams. They are bringing out the knockout list. And what this does is when you open a crimson engram and you get a thing, it's knocked off the list. Meaning you're not going to get that thing again in your next engram until you get everything. And once you start getting dupes, that's hopefully the sign that you've earned everything. Also, second caveat for those of us that had an issue with, the last event. Oh my God, I'm like forgetting everything right now. The name of the last event.
Festival of Lost?
No, not Festival of Lost.
The Dawning?
One. Dawning, thank you. Jesus. But yeah, Tess isn't selling Crimson Engrams.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to get Crimson Engrams is leveling up or earning them in playlist or activities. Things.
The Crimson Days playlist has a higher chance of them dropping, but you also get them when you level up for bright engrams, illuminated engrams, whatever it is this time. And I don't know if you saw that they decreased the cap for that to happen.
They recently lowered experience costs. So they're still working on like buffing experience gains in activities to help you get engrams even faster. So that's a thing to keep an eye out for. And legitimately, the only thing you need to get Crimson Engrams is to be at your level cap. And that level cap, it depends on if you have the expansion or not. If you have the expansion, then your level cap is 25. If you're 25, you're getting Crimson Engrams. If you don't have the expansion, they're not leaving you out because you only have to be level 20 to get Crimson Engrams. So, doesn't matter. Like, it's for everyone. They're not locking anyone out for any reason. So yeah, and they do have 5 rewards that you can get doing exclusive like milestones and activities. Complete the milestone. Welcome to Crimson Days by finishing 5 Crimson Days matches and visiting Lord Shaxx in the tower to earn the Fire of the Crimson Days emblem and the Testrella Ghost Shell.
Yeah.
Complete matches in the Crimson Days Crucible playlist for a chance to earn the Undeterred Exotic Sparrow. Complete either the Leviathan raid or Eater of Worlds raid layer to claim the Diesel Punk exotic ornament for the Wardcliff coil from the final chest. So that's Callus and Argos. Or basically, once you're underbelly, I guess. Anyhow.
Yeah, the underbelly.
And complete the Nightfall Strike during the Crimson Days event to earn the Flaunting Dance emote.
Now, I was going to bring this up. I love that emote, that Flaunting Dance emote. For everybody who doesn't know what it is, it's the Beyonce Single Ladies. If you watch the classic Justin Timberlake, that's what it is. All I want to do is pop a bubble and do the Single Ladies dance. Is that too much to ask?
If you want, you should put a ring on it.
Yeah, damn right. And by a ring, I mean the ring I had to jump through to get the exotic chest when we do the raid layer tonight, 7 p.m. for the Saint 14 Project charity stream with our buddies from Rasputin Radio. Also, Average Joe and Super Saiyan Goku will be with us. And we will be trying to clear the raid. We might actually probably have to start early. That way we can definitely get to the end, during the during this stream.
Either way, we're going to get as far as we can. No promises, but there's still going to be great discussion, and It's like the secondary goal for us is see if we can finish.
We did last time.
But yeah, so another interesting thing, like I said, Tess is not selling Crimson Engrams, but Tess will offer a selection from within Crimson Engrams for Bright Dust. And if you buy something for Bright Dust, it still adds it to the knockout list. So if you buy it, you're not going to get it from an engram. Again, until you get everything.
Until you get everything, and then you'll get it.
And these engrams are not capped. You earn as many as you can. And yeah, and everything in a Crimson engram is going to give you Bright Dust when dismantled, including event-specific shaders. So it seems like...
Why would you delete event-specific shaders? Because those shaders look pretty awesome.
Actually, these shaders do look pretty awesome. I do like the Crimson Days look. Like that black and red. Like, anyway, but
Oh, black and red like the Wolfpack? Hint,
right.
Patreon supporters?
Sparrows look pretty good. I mean, it's...
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, it's still new Ghost Shell design, though, it seems, which I'm okay with. I kind of wish there was a little more variety in some of the older Ghost Shell designs as well. Kind of wished. I mean, I'm not gonna nitpick everything, but I mean,
a very special Ghost Shell would be pretty awesome.
Well, I'm just saying, because all of the Ghost Shell designs are the newer design, the Season 2 design, I suppose, which, now that I say that out loud, it does kind of make sense that they're sticking with that. But, like I said, I would kind of like some of these in, Season 1, the classic Ghost look.
Okay.
Ghost shape.
Not the opening orchid.
Yeah, I mean,
Ghost Shell.
But, I mean, that's just me, and I want this exotic emote too with the where you form a heart and blow it towards people.
Yeah,
I so want that. That's going to be. God, I can't wait for a emote. Well, that's going to be amazing. Oh, and that's going to be. That's May. Oh, God.
That's coming.
So many emotes. Which, yeah, I mean, so that's Crimson Days. It's going to start Tuesday, February the 13th. At weekly reset, now at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard. Yeah. So after Hotfix, and then 9 a.m. Pacific Standard on Tuesday, February the 20th, it ends. So you got a week to shoot people in the face on a quote-unquote brand new map. That, and I do enjoy the fact that it's a PvP-centric thing. And just because it's a new map, I'm not going to be lost. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, if it's anything like their remake of Forgotten Shores,
it's going to be great.
It's going to be almost like one-for-one exact. Almost.
Still one of my favorite maps. The Forgotten Shores reboot.
Oh yeah, the Infinite Shore. It's amazing. Or I think it's Infinite Shore. Anyhow, but yeah, it's great. Like I said, there's just one thing that's really different, and that's the tunnel isn't as long as it used to be. That's about it. And so it's a little shorter than what it used to be in D1. So, and considering Burning Shrine was a relatively smaller map, I mean, I don't imagine that there would be much to change. So, I mean, I really like the fact that I'm going to be able to hop in and I already know, where to duck dive, dodge, duck dive. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, it's nice. It seems nice. Like I said, it definitely seems like they're finally learning from Eververse. So yeah, seems to be very positive things.
Oh, so it would be something that takes me away from Paladins, because that's what I've been doing this week.
Also will say, thanks to Lazrich, where I put it?
Laz.
The word of... Yeah, that was Laz. Laz posted it everywhere too. It's every Discord we were part of. It's let's put it here, and I look over. It's oh, he posted it here too. Oh, he posted it there too. Grief, that man is everywhere.
Just wants to spread the word. So are we.
Yeah. So yeah, there has been word from one of his recent earnings calls that the Activision Blizzard CEO has confirmed that there will be at least one major content drop in the fall of this year. Well, I assume fall. I think he might have mentioned fall, but either way, there is going to be a content drop or major expansion.
A comet, if you will.
Yeah, so for those that have known or are in the know, the Taken Queen poster
It's fake.
floating around the internet. Is it? Because, that's what they said about Rise of Iron poster, too.
I mean...
And Rise of Iron poster ended up being very true. Very, very true. Like I've said before, or as I've said in our Discord, I'm cool with the prospects of everything about this comment, if that is true, except for that name. Dear God. Why Bungie?
Yeah.
That's
just asking for people to take shots at you. That's asking for people to be like, oh, well, they're redoing names now. They're out of content to do, whatever.
Yeah, but if this is anything as influential as the Taken King was on D1, they'll probably take those shots with stride. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because with how sassy Bungie has gotten since then, like openly.
But you bought it.
Exactly. So I mean, it's like, you know what? Why don't we call it the Taken Queen? Like, I can just imagine like a meeting around people's like, yeah, but aren't people gonna have a problem with that? It's like,
yeah,
probably. See what happens.
Aren't people gonna get mad? Yeah,
maybe.
They can get mad. Are people gonna? They're gonna buy it though. Hell yeah, I'll buy it. I mean, will I be upset? No, I kind of did like the whole idea, and I mean, we did read. I mean, you read the Books of Sorrow, so we know who Savathun is. We can pretty much assume that it would probably be Savathun, who is the Taken Queen.
I mean, quite possibly. She might finally. I mean, she's the one most interested. I think she would be the one most interested in that title and taking over because I mean, she is cunning and trickery incarnate. So
the best is when I was like, didn't he kill her? And you're like, they killed each other a bunch of times. I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
they did. I remember that.
That's how they showed their love for each other, is murdering each other. Let's see, but yeah, there's love. So I'm super interested because again, my biggest takeaway is please give us more Book of Sorrow. Please give us more. But at the same time, it's like if we had a Book of Sorrows from Savathun, considering she is cunning, deceitful, and trickerous. Yeah, that's weird now. Deal with it.
Trickerous.
Could we trust it?
I mean, can you trust the Books of Sorrow?
I mean, the only thing that even caused people really an issue with trusting the Books of Sorrow, or the Book of Sorrows, was the fact that Savathun scribbled between this is all lies, but she's cunning, conniving, and trickerous. So, I mean... what do we believe? So, but either way, it's going to be an interesting life look. I'm super interested in seeing what she's been doing and what she's been learning and what new tricks she has up her sleeve that orcs did not know about. I mean, who knows? It's an open possibility, and all we have is a possible poster. Because I'm not going to say it's 100% true, but let me say I zoomed in that poster like 300-400 times, and I couldn't see any glaringly obvious like artifacting around anything. Mm-hmm. So it could be something someone physically made and took a picture of, sure, but it's definitely not a Photoshop work that I can tell, because I couldn't see any seams. And like I said, the company logos are part of this physical thing. So true, it could be something someone made, because I mean there are people that have bound the Book of Sorrows like physically.
Yeah.
So I mean, this could be a made poster by a fan, or it could be, again, another Rise of Iron League, which we swore was fake.
We did.
Turned out, nope.
Also very true.
Yeah, I completely thought that poster was fake. It was like, nah, no way. Nah, nope. Or the D2 poster. So, I mean, so far, poster leaks have been true.
You had a point.
So, I mean,
Buck.
maybe. Yeah, exactly. So it's got a high chance of being right. But I'm still not going to put full faith into it, and then it'll just lead to like a bunch of speculation and such that it's way too early to be speculating about something that's going to be coming after expansion 2. So that's my take. Another take in that means it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. Just to see how, let's see if the pattern persists and how things go. Oh my word!
I mean, another Taken expansion. Would you be upset?
No, not at all. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that will be, because I mean, you know, it's going to be like the third Hive raid or whatever. Which, yeah, okay, that's fair. You know, Hive colors are dull and dark and nowhere near vibrant and such. So I mean,
but their architecture is really cool.
It is. It's really cool. It's almost like living.
Yeah,
it's almost everything alive.
I mean, I'll say it. As much as I want a Dragon raid, I'm okay with another Hive raid or Taken raid, because they're the best looking ones. I don't care if you're mad at me. I mean, come on, the Crota gear with the ornaments at the end. That was.
Oh yeah, that's
so tasty.
That was nice. Because in like, especially and the Taken King stuff, like those ornaments, like it's like, oh my god, it's like the base Hive stuff. Yeah, it does look kind of similar to one another, so it's kind of mad. But like I said, the ornamented stuff, whew. But hopefully that this content will actually be a little more Taken focused. Because even though it was the Taken King and Kingsfall raid, it was still a lot of Hive. Like, a lot of Hive. Like, Taken only really showed up for, like, health gates on bosses. So it was mostly a Hive raid. And until you damage, like, the boss to a certain amount, and then it's like, oh, here's some Taken now.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like,
he's Taken now. Oh, shit.
Yeah, so, I mean, so it's like, I do kind of hope for more of the Taken side of things, you know, that pure darkness. It's kind of what I'm hoping for, but then again, like I said, it's way early for speculation. Because this is a poster, which, I mean, if I have a poster already, holy crap. But anyway, the best thing about this earnings call is the fact that Activision Blizzard CEO himself, very publicly to investors, is telling people that, he's telling his investors that they're working on communication, they're looking to be transparent. And he's basically mimicking everything Bungie is saying. Now, you may think it's like, well, Raven, why are you trusting Activision at all? Again, these are investors. And yes, investors, like, choosing to be more honest to investors over consumers, it does seem to be a weird business tactic. But at the same time, new consumers are way easier to find than new investors, I imagine.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's way easier to find people to buy your product than to fund it.
Exactly. Because, I mean, the sucker's born every minute. So, consumers, that's easy. Investors and, like, keeping them attached, like, especially if you have, because, I mean, conversation in our Discord, Fred? Yeah, Fred Papazuka? Yeah, yep. Fred. That did make mention, it's like, you know, on average, investors don't really care, which that's true because on average, consumers don't really care either. Or really care for, like, you know, the whole communication and certain aspect of things like that and the other. Which is true, but at the same time, the only reason, it's just like a business model to keep the people giving you money happy on a large scale. like I said, the investors are the largest scale, and especially if you have investors that have been investing for a while, and losing their money may hurt you. You keep them because, as you said, like apparently, I mean, D2 sold better than even Rise of Iron. The expansion sold, and Rise of Iron was like their highest selling expansion. So, I mean, the game sold well enough to keep, at least in Activision's perspective, the consumer side of things are quote unquote happy. So yeah, I mean, they've kind of made their money off launch. And so now, which is actually a good thing, because that could be one reason why, like, Bungie has been so communicative, because, it's probably hopefully something that started on Bungie side. Activision, like, well, you made your money, let's let you make these changes, and let's say some, unless something, I guess, I don't know. It's hard. Business, ethical crap, investor. By the way, like I said, CEO of the publisher has basically gone on record for publicly in front of investors, like, we're communicating more and we're handling this problem. So, considering it's at that level, chances are this won't be allowed to backdrop on any level, like their communication and such, which, I mean, hopefully. But then again, I don't work for these people.
But if they wanted us to, we would. I would.
Oh, yeah, probably.
I will come.
I mean, as much as a soulless machine Activision Blizzard may be, yeah.
Sure.
Pays right, hey.
Yeah. Sure, the pay is right. You can hit me with a scary hour. All right, so here's what we're gonna do, Buster. The pay is this. All right. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this here wiffle bat. All right. We filled it with BBs. All right. And we're gonna hit you with it once every hour. All right. Where are you gonna hit me? Am I wearing gear? Like, if you hit me in the head, am I wearing a helmet, or is it just like, oh, you're catching a concussion? You kind of, I mean, okay, all right. So, okay, so a 3-year-old's gonna hit me with it. Oh, no, that's cool. I don't need the helmet. Just go ahead.
But yeah, so there's that news and interesting things happening in the background of the game. So, like I said, we'll see how the future holds.
We'll see what the future holds more than anything. And I'm ready. I'm excited.
Oh yeah.
Show me what you got. Yeah, I'm here. And I mean, like I said earlier, Crimson Days is definitely going to pull me back into playing Destiny more. So, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they got. Let me get that single ladies dance. So, I mean, is that Destiny talk, Des? I mean,
it seems like it. There's nothing much more in the works. Yeah, like I said, Crimson Days is the big thing. They did wait pretty much as long as they could. The banner's over. Ended up getting all the new weapons from Ingrams, so
I did too.
I didn't have to.
I didn't buy them.
Yeah, that was fortunate. Other than that, I haven't really. I tested Frostmire's out. I don't know. I just can't quite get my head around those scout rifles. Like, I know they're great, or they can't be great if you can hit your headshots, but oh my Jesus, hitting those headshots. I have not tried the hand cannon, and the shotgun's a precision slug, which again, hitting those headshots, it's like, eh. Other than that, yeah. But I am interested in this hand cannon because, my God, the range stat on this hand cannon. Sweet Christ, it is beastly.
Yeah, and we don't know who Frostmire or who Ginora.
Oh yeah, these 3 weapons are named after very new names.
Yeah, I'm about to say we don't know who they are. So I mean, yeah, more lore. So please,
Ginora, Krimmel, Frostmire.
I mean, if you go by Krimmel's dagger, if you go by the flavor text, it's she only wanted to help. I know that now, and it's from Lord Saladin. Right? And I'm like, what happened? Like,
I know, right?
Are they your squires? Is that what this is? Are they squires of the Iron Lords?
Yeah, we had the Iron Lords, which were the original 9. It was 8.
Yes,
and then including Saladin.
Saladin, no.
But then we had the Iron Wolves, which is another like a new round of 9 names, and now we have more new names coming. Mm-hmm. We don't know who these people are. That's why I am disappointed that the Iron Banner weapons didn't get show lore tab. Because that's the story that is kind of lacking now. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, there were cards and such associated with Banner. You know, and I'm cool with not having Grimoire for the most part, because there's still a good amount of lore here. Like, everything exotic has lore behind it. Raid weapons has lore behind it. But it does bug me that there's no lore with these new names. I mean, sure, the first rounds of weapons were like recurring names and such, or ideas at least, because it's like the forward path, forged in honor of Wayloran and roads yet traveled. Cool. I mean, Wayloran's a name we know. We kind of know what he was up to thanks to Rise of Iron. We don't know anything about Krimmel, Ginora, or Frostmire, other than their names now. It's like,
and, next Iron Banner we'll get another set of weapons of guys or of guardians or people we have no idea who they are.
All right. I did read a quote though.
I mean,
maybe it might have been on the Iron. Yeah, it was on the Iron Banner ship because I did get that too. It's a very interesting quote from Perun. It's like it says, "We didn't choose to become light bearers. But we chose to be guardians."
That is interesting.
That's an interesting take because, I mean...
Because you're not... Yeah, you don't choose to become a guardian. You don't choose to be one of the risen, but...
Yeah, well, I mean, because that's the thing, because for them, guardians came after they did.
Yeah, because they
were some of the first.
Some of the first, right?
Yeah. I mean, they were fighting off, basically, other light bearers that were acting like tyrants in the world. So...
Warlords, correct? That's what they call them? Yeah. Okay.
I think so. So, I mean, the first title, other than, like, the Arisen, were Iron Lords, because they were, like, the first group to really group up and not be after themselves. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, we had the Iron Wolves, which I guess were a second generation, and now these new names. But, yeah, it was after their lifetime, or not even after their lifetime, but after they started gathering more people, that the last city was founded, and it was at the last city where guardians would come to rise after people were starting to learn to use light in ways like, Titan, Warlock, Hunters were being founded because of the last city. So yeah, they predated all these titles, but like I said, it's an interesting quote, and I was like, it's true, we don't choose to be risen again, but it is a choice to be a guardian. Which, I mean, a little less for us because we were just kind of thrown into it all thanks to Ghost, but,
I found you. Yeah, you sure did. I found you.
Yeah, come with me. Come with me if you want to live.
You beat me to it.
But yeah, I mean, that's Destiny. I had fun in Iron Banner. Oh, interesting news. Apparently on the Reddits, there's going back to like 6v6 for Iron Banner. Mm-hmm. A very interesting thing is apparently a developer, because there were some issues raised on one of the Reddits that about 6v6 on these maps, which, I mean, I have the same concerns, that they would be like overcrowded. But very interesting because, I mean, from the interview from Wisniewski, like 4v4 seemed to be like the choice. But that's pretty much all we had from it. But according to another Crucible designer or whatever, someone that I do believe is confirmed to have worked for Bungie, responded to these 6v6 concerns and made mention that these maps were actually designed for 6v6. The choice for 4v4 came a little later. So apparently they made the maps a little, very slightly smaller to slightly better accommodate 4v4. So apparently these maps were initially balanced and within mind, or at least the majority of them, for 6v6 and then retrofitted into 4v4. So there's that information. That it seems to be slightly contradictory to the Wisniewski interview, but then again, I mean, considering the transparency is now more of a key and muzzling is a key. Mm-hmm. Not gonna say he intentionally lied, but he definitely kept his job. So, all things considering. But yeah, it's super interesting though to hear that it was going to be 6v6, but I guess they may have settled on 4v4 rather than just sticking with. Because if they were just going to go with one game mode, personally, I would have preferred 4v4 still. Like a small-ish game.
I like the 4v4. I really do.
Yeah. So, I mean, because I do kind of like the small team. Like, Trials gave me, like, an appreciation for small team, like, tactics and such. But, and yeah, 6v6 is chaos. I mean, it's chaos and everywhere. So, I was cool with 4v4. If that was the only type. And like I said, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like they were going to decide for like one type to like build maps for, and that'd be that. And for a while, like the original decision may have been 6v6. But like I said, I'm more glad for 4v4 if that's all we're getting. And now, like I said, bring in Iron Banner. They apparently won't need to do much for maps. And that could be why spawns are wonky.
Because
like
they're retrofitting. Yeah.
I mean, it's just the fact that they had to maybe a little later, like that was like one of the last things they did was like try and retune the spawns for 4v4 and things just kind of got weird. Maybe. So, I mean, that's just the word on how it is. And like I said, it's very interesting to hear that. But, so yeah, so I mean, with that, I mean, I'm a little less concerned about 4v4s. I mean, 6v6 in Iron Banner with these maps. Considering it was apparently the original. So, all right. That's cool. So, we're going to see come, whenever the crap that happens. May? Again?
Yeah.
For sure.
So,
oh, no, that wasn't May. That was March. Yeah, either way.
March.
We'll see come March. Like, how 6v6 fits into these maps. Still can't wait.
So
some crap coming. Oh my, so much. Like I keep looking at this roadmap, and we're definitely getting, like, good God, every TWab since they're like, oh, we're going to be transparent. Like we got like 3 weeks of we're listening, and then ever since then we've had like novels for TWabs.
Yes, bam.
Like every week they're giving us like a pair to read, which reading, I mean, it's one thing just to be the guy sitting there and reading it. But then when you're having to be the guy to actually read it for people, like, guys, can you make these just a little shorter? Just a little?
Yeah. Less
but I mean,
less like books, more like novellas.
So I mean, it's a happy complaint though, because I mean, they are communicating, they are keeping true to that word, and like every week it's like, I miss the weeks where we can just go and it's like, well, this week's TWab says, things are staying the course, and that's that. What else we have to talk about? I'm kind of missing those. I can't wait to get back to that.
Yeah.
Can't wait for all the nonsense to die down, and it's like, stay in the course. It's like,
hold the line.
Thank you.
Love isn't always on time.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, if that's my one complaint about this, I'm happy to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, they are communicating extraordinarily, I mean, development roadmap in the middle of a development cycle. It's never happened.
It's unheard. Yeah, I'm about to say that's kind of unheard of, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had this level of a roadmap. We actually haven't had this level of a roadmap. Normally, their roadmaps are like 1 or 2 month teasers, and this is going all the way to. All right, so it's 5 month things or 4 month. By the way, it's like we normally get teasers for like, oh, here's what's coming out for the month since we loaded out new content, and then we get nothing. So I mean, for this, I mean, keep it up, Bungie. Like I said, if it's the one complaint I have, I'll happily have it. Keep up the good work. Because so far, communication has been on point. And oh my God, these people on Twitter and such. Holy crap. Like, you want to talk about open communication? Mm-hmm. Sweet Lord. Like, that's a whole nother can of worms. Because, I mean, they're definitely being more open on Twitter and openly responding to certain things on Twitter, which is nice. Like, you know, if they leave information out, it's like, oh, yep, we did a thing. We did man it this way. I mean, they're definitely clarifying things, and that's very, very nice. Very, very nice.
So have you been playing any new games? Because, I mean...
games, not so much. I did log on to Destiny a bit and, like, did some milestones. Did a couple milestones.
Yeah.
Games, not so much.
Okay. I mean, I've been, like I said, been playing a lot of Paladins. Getting that... I got that bug again. I mean, you know, always Warframes.
Yeah.
Don't worry, guys. No Paladins talk this week. Nothing to report. Just super fun.
And nothing yet.
Yeah. Other than that, I've been watching Altered Carbon on Netflix.
I see.
It's Blade Runner and like it's neo-futuristic, you know. It's the long and short is you can download your consciousness into a neurostack in a blank. They call them sleeves, and the only people who do it are the rich because it's super expensive.
Yeah.
And a guy wakes up in the future, like 200 years in the future. He was one of the first people to have his brain downloaded, and he's hired by a rich guy to find his killer.
Nice.
He's like, I'm dead. Find who killed me. And I was like, oh, you had me at hello.
I will say, I want Dragon Ball FighterZ even more now. I found out they have a game mode. Because it's a 3-character versus 3-character fighting game. Mm-hmm. They actually have a game mode where you can create a lobby of 6 people, and each person controls a character.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. That sounds sick, man.
Yeah, that's...
holy crap.
It's literally, I'm going to play a game. I'm gonna be an episode of Dragon Ball.
Exactly, because, I mean, it's really, really... Because, I mean, the biggest advantage, of course, and they have, like, these quick, like, communication things, like requesting... You know, you want to be tagged in for a thing, you can actually have it popped up, you know, tag me in, or, you know, good job, or this, that, or the other. But, I mean, the biggest advantage, of course, is the way I saw it was Maximilian doing it with 2 of his people he normally streams with. And they were just all 3 sitting in the room with 3 PS4s.
Just next to each other.
Yeah, having matches. And it's like, okay, get ready to tag him for this. It's like, all right, and tag him in and start doing crazy stuff. So, I mean, that's, of course, the biggest advantage. Or, you know, party chat is going to be a close second. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I mean, I saw that and it's like, holy balls. That's, like, the best party mode you can do for a tag fighter. And not many tag fighters do that. So, yeah, that was just super good. The closest it came was, like, MK9 had a 2v2 tag game mode. And if you're physically with a second controller, you can actually have like those tag matches where you're each controlling a character. But you actually had to be, it was from a singular, you know, PS3. So, but yeah, I saw that and it's like, holy crap. That cool. So yeah, I want that game even more now.
Yeah.
Because that mode. Oh god.
I've been thinking about getting Monster Hunter. I really have. Converse, mod to on our Discord, the RNG Discord, has been playing it a lot. I mean, Xanafan have been playing it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've been hearing rave reviews about it.
All right, so my only issue with Monster Hunter, my only issue that I found, is I was listening to Bads, and was that if it said like getting a 15-minute time limit to kill a monster is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like they normally take like 30 to 45 minutes. It's like, that's what I don't need.
Yeah, I don't need a time sink.
I don't need, yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm sure it's fun, and of course it's going to be rewarding because you're learning patterns of creatures much larger than you and such, and the randomness of having other creatures interrupt the battle or whatever, or suddenly get chased by another thing that's not even your mark. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun, but that's going to be the one thing that keeps me away, is like a dedicated amount of time. Because, good God, I have plenty of video games to play right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and a lot of them are much quicker just to get in and get out. So, I mean,
I like the get in, get out type of game. Like, I like I can do a couple quick, I can log in, pallet, grab a match or two, and bounce, or go in and be like, I'm going to play about 6.5 hours of Warframe today. That's my goal. And
okay, yeah, that's...
But yeah, I've watched people play it, and it's one of those games that I think is more fun to play than it is to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that's not my only issue with Monster Hunter. I mean, like I said, I haven't been huge into the series, and yeah, hearing it, people need to stop calling it an RPG.
It's not an RPG.
It's an action RPG. I mean, it's a subgenre, but that's like calling Devil May Cry an RPG.
Mm-hmm.
Just because Devil May Cry has RPG elements doesn't mean it's an RPG. It's action RPG. It's actiony. You do things. But that's only a small nitpick thing in that, again. As people probably know by now, I get weird about classifications and such. So, this is a great RPG. It's like, just because it's a grind
nope.
doesn't mean that, it's an RPG. Like I said, it is an action RPG. It's an action game. But I mean, I don't know, the crafting system does bring a lot, like a very heavy RPG-centric thing to it, sure, because I don't know of anything outside of an RPG or an MMO that allows crafting.
Yeah, I like crafting.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of things that sound fun, but I just don't want that time commitment. Like, I don't want to be pushed into that time commitment, basically. It's like, because I mean, if I load it into an RPG, I mean, it's my own fault because I know I'm going to lose hours before I even realize it. Because that's an RPG.
That's what you pay for.
Exactly. But I mean, that's like a lot of like story and progress and such. And I said 45 minutes on a fight or 30 minutes on a fight. I don't know if I'm super down for that. Yeah, like that's a hard sell.
That's a lot
for me.
That's a lot of stick work.
Yeah. So I mean, because I'm not down in the game. It's just I don't know if it's for me. Like I said, I was on the fence before, and I just don't know. Like hearing people, I mean, sure, it's great and all, but I don't know.
And like we say all the time, not every game is for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not going to down. I mean, Monster Hunter is the new hot. I'm not going to down it for that because, again, it's a Capcom game. They've been doing this for decades.
This is what they do.
Like, Capcom's a household name. So, I mean, yeah, and they've, sure, they have a lot of franchises that they've forgotten about, even though Mega Man 11 isn't. And sadly, they're not doing so hot in fighting games right now, actually, even though that's kind of their pedigree.
Really?
I mean, they started them with Street Fighter, the original, and then like made them super popular with Street Fighter 2. But yeah, as I came to realize, their last 3 fighting games they made, which was Street Fighter Cross Tekken, Street Fighter 5, and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, have all bombed. They've had major issues. Street Fighter 5 is finally looking up, after like 2 years or a year and a half or something like that. It's finally starting to look up. Yeah, finally starting to like look up. Mm-hmm. Street Fighter Cross. They literally found on disc DLC, which started the craze of DLC is just on the disc or taken off and like cut out. Street Fighter Cross Tekken kind of fueled that fire.
Really?
Yeah, because their DLC like costumes or whatever were literally in the game files on the disc.
No,
yeah,
you can't have that.
Yeah, and well, that was Street Fighter Cross Tekken's major failing because they made that choice, and yeah, it was crappy because it's in the game files, but you're forcing people to pay for it. It was literally on disc. I mean, like I said, it's a lot of people complain about things buying things that were supposed to be in the main game. Mm-hmm. That's literally what that was. They had you buy things that you technically already owned. So yeah, that started that downhill, and they haven't really properly recovered since.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that's an issue. I think Dragon Ball FighterZ incredibly popular. Also,
that's what Capcom made, though, right? Like
no, that was Arc System Works. Dragon Ball FighterZ.
Oh,
that was Guilty Gear.
Okay, yeah.
Published by I think Bandai Namco published that.
And Guilty Gear's fun little fact for everybody is one of my favorite fighting games ever.
But yeah, so there's that, and oh my god, it does look fun. Can't wait to see who they're adding in for like DLC for that game though. Because I mean, they have an entire, good God, they have decades worth of characters and such that they could throw in.
I mean, they have the tournament they're in now. Could you imagine if they brought the universes in?
Speaking of that,
from a guy who hasn't ever watched Dragon Ball to a guy who's watched a lot of Dragon Ball Super.
I'm keeping up, and it's this freaking universe tournament is turning into exactly what I hoped it wouldn't. So it's been going on for 2, 3, 4 months maybe, something like it's a proper saga.
It's a large arc.
But when they started it was only supposed to be a 40-minute fight, in universe 40 minutes. And right now every episode that happens, they've been on the last 10 minutes for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. Mm. And every episode is that. I mean, things are super interesting. If you have not caught up with Dragon Ball Super, this episode, all right, I do not support fan subs and pirating and such, but if you're happening to keep track of the Japanese episodes, the episode that's going to release Sunday, or usually Saturday night, Sunday at some point in time, is going to be super interesting because spoiler alert, it is now down to Universe 7, which is Goku's universe. And I think they have 3 or 5 left. Mm-hmm. Versus Jiren.
Just Jiren.
Jiren is the only other person in this tournament other than the Universe 7 guys.
Okay, spoiler alert, guys. Spoiler. I was freaked out. I was like, yo, did that become a god of a god of destruction?
Oh god, yeah, when Top freaking transforms and it's
no.
So wait, he's just like a god of destruction.
And then the best part was the god of destruction for his universe was like, oh no, he's my apprentice. I'm training him to be the god of destruction.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that shouldn't be allowed in the tournament. That should.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, because he's sitting there. It's like, okay, so he wasn't a god of destruction because he couldn't make up his mind.
Mm-hmm. But he can.
And then all of a sudden, in this fight, he makes up his mind to survive instead of relying on justice, because that's what he was torn between. Survival or justice. And so he makes up his mind to screw it, I'm going to survive, and then just unlocks this hidden potential, and it's like, oh man. And then then Jiren actually
was like, oh shit.
At the end, Jiren's it's like, all right, so it's just you and me. It's time for me to stop holding back. And it's like, what?
Yeah. What you
it's like, you have more power tucked away somewhere? holy crap.
You've been holding back? We're fucked.
I mean, it's like super. I mean, holy crap! It's
when I saw Tal for what, however you say his name, turn into the God of Destruction. I'm like, is that the guy Goku expected when he went Ultra? when he went Ultra Instincts? Because let's just be honest, that was the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen. Dude was shooting at him full force, and Goku was like, no. And I do it every time I talk about it. I put my hands behind my back like he did, and kind of like walk with purpose. Because that's what he did. He just walked with purpose. Get the fuck out of here. You don't need. I don't know. You're not gonna hit me. Next.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see Goku and Vegeta. Put your Vegeta on his last legs right now, and Goku's been on his last legs for like the past 6 episodes. Oh my god! So, and it is interesting to see them like call back. Mm-hmm. Like it took way too long, in my opinion, when they did the flashback to his final explosion.
Yeah.
Which took way too long. But other than that, like to see him use that again and not die.
This is nice.
Like, okay, cool. You know, because I sat there like as soon as it started, as soon as he had because me being a Dragon Ball fan, as soon as he had that freaking golden bubble form around him, it's like, no, he's not. No.
Is he going to use it?
Is he going to kill himself to take care of the guy?
Yeah.
And then sure enough, they started the flashback, and it's like, okay, guys, we get it now. Move it along. Come on. Show us what happens. And yeah, it's... Whew. For him, actually, as that to be a benchmark of how strong he's gotten, that he can detonate most of his energy and still survive. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
So I cannot wait for tomorrow's episode, because... things are going to get intense.
I mean, we could talk a little bit about anime and manga to close out this episode because, you know, we're RNG. We talk about random things. Are you a One Piece fan? I don't know if we ever discussed this.
I watched it before, like the fight.
Okay, before he learned hockey.
Yeah, but pretty much the last I read of the manga was literally after the first time skip, and he was showing off his Gear Second, I think.
When he went against the
I think so. I'm
not.
not.
No,
yeah.
second. That was Gear Second. When he punches the ground and gets fast.
Yeah. So I mean, he was showing off that he learned, you know, how to form or whatever, or new style, and like I said, I saw Nami. It was pretty much like I said, it was right after, and seeing everyone's like power, and it's like I was working too much to keep up with it anymore, so I didn't, and it was a 4Kids dub, so but that, and like thinking about getting into it now because it's still freaking going. Sweet Christ, that dude needs to stop. Like, holy crap, because we're talking like a 600 some episode anime.
I think it's 600 and some right now, right?
I think so. Like, holy crap. Like, for me, considering I probably watched maybe like 100 of those episodes. All
right. Well, Secret Time, Des. I've read every single chapter.
That's, I mean, holy crap. But it is an interesting... I like the anime because it was done in a time where the censorship was getting... Like, Naruto and One Piece, when they started, very... Mm-hmm. You know, the censorship, you can tell, like, they were in the era where it was changing, like, from manga to anime. Because, I mean, One Piece is a perfect example because it... Sanji's story. Like, pretty much completely changed from manga to anime. Because in the manga, he's trapped on as a kid, trapped on an island with his mentor. And, you know, his mentor splits up these bags of what he thinks is food, and little kid, a smaller bag of food. And he goes through that and ends up like going like a month without food anymore. So he decides to steal from the other guy. Come to find out, his bag is completely full of gold, and he hasn't eaten the entire time. So what the chef ends up doing is cutting off his own foot so Sanji could eat.
Yeah, he's his own foot.
But in the anime, Sanji gets like trapped underwater or something, and she goes in and saves him, and his foot gets taken off by being wrapped up in like an anchor chain. So, yeah, I did prefer the manga for that reason. Like the story just had a deeper impact to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did read the manga because I mean, good lord, it was in when I was reading Shonen Jump. I mean, that was of course one of the starring things, that Naruto, and for the American Shonen Jump, the reprinting basically of the Dragon Ball manga. I think Yu-Gi-Oh was still running at that time as well, which that's another one that.
Listen, I've gone over and said it 100 times. Yu Yu Hakusho is my favorite anime. It's my favorite anime.
The only thing I don't like now, like that's a really weird sensation, is the fact that there's a couple kind of talking trash about Dragon Ball Super. Like grown critics and men.
Really?
Saying how, I mean, not really trash, but, you know, like disappointed in like storytelling and this, that, and the other. And I'm sitting there thinking, it's like, Akira Toriyama has went on record before that he doesn't actually care what people think of like Dragon Ball manga or Dragon Ball so much. I mean, this is very paraphrased, because his goal was to entertain shonen, which in Japan is basically Japanese teenage boys, and that's shonen is young boy, which it goes from like 10 to 15, somewhere in there, like 16, somewhere in there. So as long as he kept them entertained and happy, that was his goal. So to see like these grown men give these critical critiques on like the deep storytelling of Dragon Ball Super seems so silly to me. Because Dragon Ball is still very much a shonen thing. Like, nothing has changed in storytelling so much from Z to Super. So to expect anything more, it's like trying to get deeper meaning out of Dora the Explorer.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. So it's just a weird phenomenon to me. I mean, sure, your tastes change as you grow, but I mean, this is something that's not really growing with you. It's staying the same. And boy, howdy does Goku. Actually, I also found it interesting that there was some issue with the anime when they were doing the Dragon Ball anime. Like Akira Toriyama actually had issue because they were making Goku heroic, which happened even more in like the English dubs, because Goku has like his famous, you know, "I'm allied to good" speech to Frieza, which that sentiment doesn't exist to Akira Toriyama.
He was originally going to destroy the world.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, because Goku in Akira Toriyama's mind is less of a hero and more of a selfish fighter. Yeah, Goku fights to fight, to grow stronger, to challenge himself. He's not really out to save the world. He's looking for good fights.
That's a happy accident.
Yeah. I thought that was hilarious, because actually it was like an old interview or whatever that people found, and like I said, it's just hilarious because, you know, in the anime they were kind of giving this heroic vibe, and Akira Toriyama's like, no, Goku is a selfish fighter, which definitely shows in like
Vegeta's
like,
the
super shows.
Vegeta's the hero
now, but even then he just wants to surpass Goku.
Yeah.
So even he has selfish reasons.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, good God. So yeah, I mean, he's more like Vegeta's definitely more of the hero figure now. Like, especially like in the World Tournament, we're seeing like a whole nother side of Vegeta I didn't think we'd see, because you know he's trying to keep his promise to the Universe 6 Saiyans. He's trying to, you know, protect his world in this tournament, and Goku is kind of doing the same, but just wants to fight strong people. I mean, he does. I still don't think Goku fully realizes the weight of what he started in this tournament.
And you see, that is what makes. I mean, I've always liked. I I've always liked Vegeta, but Vegeta really stepped into his I am the king of Saiyans now, because he is. He's the prince of Saiyans. Well, probably not after,
I know, it is weird.
It
is weird he still clings to the prince title, because there's nothing stopping him from claiming to be king. His father's dead.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's why I loved his moment against Top. Because Top was basically telling Vegeta during their fight, it's like, I've given up. I've cast aside justice to survive. And Vegeta's response is like, I will cast nothing. I will keep my pride. I will keep my family. I cast aside nothing, and I get stronger. And it's like, that's a cool character moment.
Yeah.
But other than that, I finally watched a few movies.
What did you see?
I watched It.
Okay. And I know the missus is not of clowns.
She watched it.
She watched it.
It was me, my daughter, and my mother-in-law.
Okay.
And she actually decided to actually sit in the room. I mean, whenever Pennywise and such would come up, she would like immediately distract her phone because she's, like I said, she's terrified of clowns. She sat in the room and watched like the entire thing. But I liked it. It was cool. It was like really, really cool. I think it was very well done. The fact that one thing I didn't know about it was that in the book there's like a time jump.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know that before because I hadn't really watched the original.
Okay.
Like,
you don't remember? Okay, yeah, it happens in the original too. In the
exactly
the movie, the TV movie.
Yeah. So I remember like a large chunk of that because it's one of those things I don't think I've ever sat and watched from beginning to end, but I've caught a lot of large pieces of it. But yeah, so for some reason this just really didn't stick out in my mind, and I had heard about a sequel to it, and originally I thought, well, they're just trying to cash in, but no, the sequel is the time jump.
Yes.
The sequel is going to be the 28 years later.
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah, I really liked that, and it was interesting. Like I said, definite props to like not only the movement of the guy that played it Pennywise,
Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah, much props to him, like for his movement and everything, and how he acted it. But also massive props to like the director, because it's like whenever Pennywise starts like these creepy movements, the camera sticks to his head. So it's like his body moves even weirder because your perspective is like his head, and it's like his head doesn't move a lot of the times, or it doesn't look like it moves, but like everything else is moving like even more by perspective. So I mean, massive props to that choice because that, oh my god, like that just fit like perfectly, I thought. Yeah, I mean, it's a horror movie. It's a Stephen King movie. That sick, demented piece of crap. Love him though. Good God. I just don't know how he can come out with all these twisted things, and he still puts out a book a year. Still, puts out a book a year. Like been doing it for like 30 years or something, and still putting out creepy a year.
And still putting out great books.
Yeah, that too. But
this might not surprise you. It was one of the many books that my dad required us to read. He was a huge Stephen King fan, and
same thing for my mother-in-law.
Yeah, he was. I mean, reading the book makes it a lot. I mean, for fuck's sake, Pennywise is just so terrifying if you think about it. Just a concept alone, he is terrifying. But when you realize, like, oh, he's been here before everything. Yeah.
I also like that part of the new movie. Whenever you're looking, the way they say it without saying it.
Mm-hmm.
There's these old pictures of what's the place called?
Derry.
Yeah, Derry. There we go. Because it's weird sounding, but yeah, the fact that you got this kid like looking into the charters, and so you see this old picture, that's not even a taken picture, but a sketching,
and you see Pennywise in it.
There's his face, and it's like that's a great way to say he's been around for like a long time. So, I mean, that was a great way of saying it without having to put in the lines like, oh, we found these instances like throughout history of this similar face. So that was a really good touch. And I love the fact, like in that scene, you have the girl closing Chubby Kid's door. And there's a New Kids on the Block poster.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
There's a lot of real good, like tributes you catch.
Yeah.
I know one thing that a lot of people didn't get was the I Love Dairy balloon in the sewer.
Yeah.
That's actually a kind of a throwback to the book. One of the kids that gets got, he has the I Love Dairy balloon.
Yeah. Okay.
Pennywise gets him. What it doesn't show though, it doesn't. Pennywise shapeshifts so much in the book. He only shapeshifted a couple times.
Yeah, I think that might. Like what my mother-in-law is speculating is they may be saving that for like the sequel. Maybe.
What, to show his shapeshifting ability?
Well, I mean, for it to have a little more like prevalence, I think.
Yeah.
Get older, maybe. Because I mean, he did like during their encounter with him. I mean, he did shapeshift quite a bit.
Well, he became the tall lady, the flute playing lady.
Yeah.
The flute playing woman. He became the zombie, the plague zombie.
Yeah. Or the leper.
The leper.
My daughter did the same thing. It's like the zombie in it, and it's like that wasn't a zombie. That was a leper. That's an actually like, wait, what? Yeah, leprosy is an actual thing. It's scary as crap too.
I know that it's a thing, but
I know. Just modern comparisons and such.
Yeah,
it's just so easy to compare it to a zombie nowadays.
Yeah, the plague zombie. Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, I'm gonna go see it. The kids were great.
Oh yeah, those kids were super talented and such.
What was it? The bad mouse kid. He said something like,
"Oh yeah,
you blow your dad" or some shit. I was like, God damn, that's so funny.
Right,
and when you see in the rock fight,
oh my God,
as an adult, you get that will kill you.
It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What? No, don't do it. But
if I hit you in the head with that rock that the kid got smacked with, you're dead.
Oh my God,
you're dead.
Right.
It's a concussion. You're definitely getting the concussive disorder.
Oh yeah.
You look over and Pennywise is eating an arm.
Oh God, no! What the crap? Oh God, but yeah, I saw it. It was a good movie. It was a good time. Not so much for the wife. I found that when you find out one of the kids actually is scared of clowns, it's like, oh no.
Fun fact about that: the first time for each of the kids saw Pennywise was the first time they ever saw Pennywise. They hid Bill Skarsgård for that. Like,
cool.
Yeah, that the reactions are legit. Like,
cool.
The real like the oh shit moments are really them going oh shit. Like,
that's like in The Dark Knight. Mm-hmm. Whenever you see Bruce's love interest, whatever her name was, when she first sees Heath Ledger in Joker makeup, she gets this like uneasy reaction, like being around him. Mm-hmm. It's because that was the first time she saw Heath Ledger in makeup. So her like that take and her reactions to it were pretty genuine. Like, I love those moments too that you find out it's like, oh, so that wasn't acting.
In Django, when
the blood
DiCaprio cuts his hand, he really cuts his hand, and when he rubs it on the Kerry Washington's, her reaction is really that because he just rubbed his blood on her face.
Exactly, because it wasn't even actually in the script. He just accidentally did it and just went with it in character. Uh-huh. So yeah, that reaction was like very legitimate as well. Kind of not cool also on Leo's part, but in character things happen when you're stuck in a mindset for so long. What else did I watch? I watched a couple things. Finally caught Wonder Woman.
How'd you like it? Go ahead.
It's got the same issue a lot of current DC live-action movies have. And the fact that it's a great premise. The story was good. It was awesome. Up until like the last minute. And then they went with like some very weird choices. And it just fell flat. Because, spoiler alert, when you find out who Ares is, like who he actually is, it was a very disappointing moment. Because she thinks it's this one dude, and I had spoiled it for myself because I was trying to find the guy that they thought was Ares, trying to figure out, what he was in, and come to find out he was Stryker and X-Men Origins Wolverine. Yes. In looking at the past, I saw who Ares actually was. So I knew for a good bit of the movie who he was. So I was expecting like this big, dramatic reveal. Like maybe they complete the mission, she kills the dude, and it's like, okay, so they're going to go back to the dude's boss, who is actually Ares, and going to get this big, huge reveal. No, he just shows up and she's like, "You're him? I'm him." It's like, what? Mm-hmm. No. And then being a biology nerd, for them to have Ares calling upon lightning to try and smite Wonder Woman is a very big no-no in my book. Because that's Zeus's thing. And Zeus himself didn't even call upon lightning. He was forged thunderbolts by the Cyclopses. But again, everyone that knows me by now knows I'm a huge nerd. Right. Mythology was what got me into it.
Ares had a sword?
Yeah, I mean, Greek myth in particular was what pulled me to the world of mythology. And that's like the first thing I really nerded out on was mythology back in like 5th grade. I was like looking up because my teacher had these like high school mythology things. Yeah. And she just kind of tossed them. And I looked in and was like, what's this? And it's like, oh, some stuff I used to use. And it's like, mind if I look at it? I was like, yeah, you can go ahead. And that's when I learned about, these gods and deities and Olympus and things. And I went ham on it. It's like everything I could learn about it. So being a mythology nerd is like, no, Ares can't call upon lightning. Himself doesn't even call upon lightning. And if anyone else is going to use lightning in a mythology setting, it's going to be Athena, because that's who Zeus gave the thunderbolts to. But, whatever, fine. But yeah. So that was one nerd issue, and then just why did you choose to go this way? Because I felt just with that one choice, it just fell, a lot of things just fell flat after that. And it was just kind of meh.
My first foray into mythology was actually Norse.
That's a good one though.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, they're really good ones. But it's funny. I mean, I did kind of fall into it as well. As my puppy almost gets electrocuted because he decided to chew on a goddamn cord.
Well, he's gonna learn fast not to chew on that cord,
or die. One of the two.
Dogs are usually smarter than that.
Yeah.
Usually,
yeah. He'll catch a pop and be like, "I'm out."
Yeah, it's like, yep, not touching that for a while. But oh yeah, Jigsaw.
That's
the new Saw movie,
the final Saw movie. Well, the most, the most recent,
the most recent one, because the final chapter was actually the movie before last. I gotta say, if for those who enjoy the Saw franchise, Jigsaw is like a great return to like the suspense of the first like couple Saw movies. Like, it is easily within the top 3, in my opinion. Easily.
Yeah.
I mean, just did a really good job.
Super dark.
I mean, it is dark, but I mean, they did a good job on what they did in like the first movie. The whole misdirection thing was supremely played very well in this. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was a little less torture porny. Which, the series kind of became into, but, a little less of the mindlessness of it. And, like I said, just bringing back the suspense of it, and then getting surprised on who's actually behind it all. It's like, oh my God, that was so, so good. I'm not even going to, like, do a skippable spoiler for that, because, like I said, if you like Saw, mm-hmm. That's, like, saying anything, like me saying anything might just ruin the entire experience because it is just, it's so good. Like, just for that suspense. And if you enjoy it, because even if you don't enjoy Saw, it's a good one to watch because it does the murder mystery and kind of procedural part of it is also really, really good. Mm. So I mean, even if you haven't enjoyed the other ones, definitely give it a shot. It's a good one. It's definitely, and like I said, definitely one of the tops in my opinion. Because it's hard to beat the first one and like the surprise of the whodunit, and this one is. It's basically like the first one, and like Saw and Jigsaw are like my top.
Yeah,
easily.
Well, the missus and I this weekend coming up for guys. Everybody knows if you have a significant other, it's Valentine's Day coming up. Because I have to work Valentine's Day, sucks. We are
that like general consensus at work, like for Valentine's just in general, like we all tend to agree. It's like if you actually need a day.
Yeah.
To do something special for the wife.
Yeah. You have more problems than what you think.
Yeah. But that's just like that's just against like commercialization of like holidays and such. But yeah, we'll do something. It's just not on Valentine's Day. I mean,
that's what we do too. But
exactly.
I mean, she's gonna get. I get her flowers and all that. Just for the sweetness. But we're gonna go see. Month. Oh God. I
was just like once a month we try to do like a date thing. So. Yeah.
So I asked her, I'm like, you want to go, I was like, this weekend, meaning, obviously not this weekend because Pete.
Yeah.
That was a story unto itself, which I will get into. I was like, do you want to go dinner? And she was like, yeah, we can go dinner. I'm like, do you want to go see a movie? She's like, I do want to see a movie. I'm like, okay, I do too. What movie? I was like, on 3, we'll say the movie we want to go see. I'm thinking she's something crazy. Something I will kill myself instead to go see. So I'm like, 1, 2, 3. We both said The Shape of Water.
Shape of Water.
You haven't seen it, have you? The trailer. It's a Guillermo del Toro. I'm sorry, I get those confused.
I know, right? The Del Toros.
Yeah, it looks like, because as you probably well know, I am a huge Hellboy fan. It looks like the origin story for Abe Sapien. Or like an Abe Sapien.
Yeah, I may have seen something about this, and I may have thought the exact same thing.
It is not. The story is he does fantastic movies.
He does.
Fantastic monsters. I mean, Pan's Labyrinth was one of my favorite movies, even though it's subtitled. He wanted to do a classic movie monster. And he's done vampires. He did Blade 2, but he did classically. He wanted to do the creature of the Black Lagoon from the Black Lagoon,
which is one that normally gets
overlooked.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of the other classic horror movie, when I say classic, I mean like 40s and 50s, horror movie icons or 60s. Anyway, horror movie icons. Dracula, vampires survived, werewolves survived, mummies. Survived Night as well, but they're still there. And then zombies have taken over like a large portion of horror movies and such. But yeah, like Creature of the Black. God, I'm doing it too.
Exactly.
Creature of the Black Lagoon is something you don't find outside of like the old black and white movies.
Nope.
So yeah, that's super interesting.
And he was originally greenlighted to do it.
Yeah.
Funding fell through. I guess they were like, we're going to stick with whatever the direction we're going. So he said, hey, cool. I have this other movie I've been working on called The Shape of Water. And they said, okay, fine. And apparently, it's the same fucking script. He just changed the name and made it seem like it's a different, like, a different story originally. And I was like, that's genius. Y'all can't realize that this is the creature from the Black Lagoon, and I don't give a damn because I want to go see it because, like I said, I love his fucking movies.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Pull the switcheroo.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you don't want to fund this, no problem. Give me a second. Scribble. This movie, Shape of Water. How about that? I mean,
and it looks so good. Like, there's, several. Have you seen the trailer? You remember it now?
I mean, like I said, I do remember pieces. Like I remember seeing it at least once a bit ago. So I mean,
a buddy of mine saw it and was like, "You're gonna cry," and I'm like, "Oh, I know I am," because like a love story and all that and touching,
yeah,
and whatnot. And he was like, "Oh yeah, dude, you're totally gonna cry." I'm like, "Oh, I'm well aware. I'm probably gonna." Yeah, being a dad made me soft, and I'm okay with it because
to a degree,
certain things get to you every now and then.
Oh yeah. I mean, everyone has their
everybody has their trigger points.
Man, guys don't like to admit it.
Oh.
But I mean, we all have our trigger points. Like I said, Notebook. Whenever my wife drug me through that, like that's a freaking attachment. Like if you don't at least sniffle, you're a monster.
You're a monster. Also, I might cry tonight. I'm just gonna give everybody a fair warning for the stream. It's gonna get deep. I might tear up.
Seriously.
So
I mean,
everybody get ready.
Like we said before, this is heavy subject matter, but it's stuff that definitely needs to. My primary goal of this not to be, they don't like calling it a charity stream because that's not the primary purpose.
It's an awareness.
Yeah, it's bringing out awareness. It's trying to make mental health something you can talk about, like a little more openly, and that's like, number one, and that's something that has to happen before any kind of charity work can really begin. Even though there is apparently at least a shirt that might be available now.
And it is incredible.
Yeah, the proceeds are, of course, going to takethis.org. So, but there is a shirt. Well, of course, I mean, as recording, the stream has started.
Yes, the stream has started. And I believe, if I look at the schedule, it might be Arrow Night on now.
Yeah. So yeah, not wanting to specifically date this, but to specifically date the time that we record. But yeah, so there's probably going to be like links and crap for the shirt, like at least occasionally to pop up, just in case that is something you choose to do. I know.
I'm sorry. Right now, it's Destiny Ghost Stories.
Okay.
I'll go over the schedule real quick because I'm going to drop this today, probably within the next, as soon as we get done recording, within the next hour. Destiny Ghost Stories are from 1 to 2. From 2 to 3, it's the Destiny Reset Guys. 3 to 4 is Crucible Radio. 4 to 5, Grenades and Horseshoes. 5 to 6, Hidden. From 6 to 7, these are all Eastern Standard Times, by the way, is our good buddy Danfinity. From 7 to 8, it's the RNG Cast and Rasputin Radio.
Who are those scrubs?
Yeah, I don't know. Get over it, right?
Who calls yourself RNG? I mean, God.
From 8 to 9, the Anti-Meta Podcast. From 9 to 10, the Destiny Addicts Podcast. From 10 to 11 is Leprechaun. And from 11 to 12, the classic, the Rick Wild Thing Vaughn, the cleanup, the cleanup where we used to be.
I know, right?
Potato Thumbs and Dad's Tales.
With a special guest appearance at the minimum from Xanafan from Barely Destiny Show.
Because he did.
I don't know if anyone else from their crew is going there, but yeah, Xanafan is definitely going to be there. Mm-hmm. So there's that. Yeah, so definitely, if you can, watch as much as you can, like legitimately. If you don't hear this, like the day of, and all this information is useless, hopefully that means you're watching that rather than listening to us immediately. Because that is definitely, I mean, come on, if I had a choice, if I was a listener, I knew about this thing, and I was, didn't have to record this, I'd be watching now. Mm-hmm. And seeing RNG pop up was like, oh, you're going to wait till like tomorrow or something. Because I definitely totally agree with that choice. Mm-hmm. Go watch them. Support this. Like, listen to their stories. Get in with the conversation. Do it.
Also, we do have some pretty cool giveaways that we can talk about. I could bring up real quick before we get going. We will be giving away a 3-pack of the Todd McFarlane action figures, the Destiny action figures. And also, in this when Joe came on, we will be giving away or making someone take, whatever terminology you want to use, a guest spot.
Guest spot. With a free vocal range.
Yeah.
Put out any opinion you want. We are giving you free reign. Oh, well, other than, like,
the obvious.
Certain materials, but I mean...
The episode will be whoever wins the raffle. Whatever they want to talk about, we're going to talk about.
Exactly, and no matter what opinions we're going to listen, it's going to be a discussion. I mean, well, we try to do that anyway, but yeah, it's definitely going to be like special guest focused to whomever this guest may be. But yeah, I mean, do you want to come on the show and tell us how much we suck at this? Go ahead. I mean, this is your opportunity. We'll sit here and listen, and we'll have...
As long as you're supporting the stream.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole goal, and get people to talk about mental awareness. And if you want to keep talking about that, cool too. I mean, it's whatever. And like I said, no guarantees. We may not get a little heated if you're going to come at us extremely negatively, because we are only human. But I mean... We do our best just to sit here and talk like adults.
So yeah. There are some fantastic giveaways. I mean, I know that's not
oh my god!
Listen, I watched the stream just to maybe get a giveaway because some of the things. I mean, I definitely want to make the podcast studio a little bit more artistically presentable. I do have. The ghetto soundproofing, which I need to do. I need to hang up get some really logistically soundproofing as opposed to just a couple blankets that I'm hanging. And I want to put the artwork that I have up. So, maybe if I got some cool artwork.
Yeah, hilariously, also one thing that apparently people do is they get that heavily angled foam padding. Because that, of course, breaks down echoes and such. Mm-hmm. But what they do is they put that, like, there's some people that, like, they'll take a mattress and put that over.
Oh. To,
like, help the soundproofing. Like, so it doesn't, like, I guess, bleed into other rooms and such. But yeah, that's actually one tactic that some people, I mean, it's going to be interesting,
a mattress.
Like, single mattresses and, like, putting it around. But still, I mean, this seems fairly effective. Like, if you actually have because mainly I've seen people do that have, like, there's certain YouTubers that, they don't actually have a separate office building or something. Because, some YouTubers are big enough to be capable of office buildings. Or at least office spaces, should I say. Yeah. Another great movie.
Your name is Michael Bolton?
Excuse me, sir, but you have my stapler?
Des, what we need to do for the patrons, other than what we have planned for the patrons, because, by the way, we have some shit planned for you guys. We probably should just do a special episode for...
I know, right? Definitely.
We should
probably... It's in our list of promises. We have not quite kept up. We apologize. It's something we will do. One plan I have had of that is RNG mystery theater show, sort of.
Oh.
Like commentary, essentially.
Oh, Des, did we just have a mind meld? Did we just think about the same thing? Because, I mean, we're recording from 7 to 8, right? Yeah. What are you doing at 8 o'clock? Ow. Oh, you little fuck. Oh, you big as shit. Ooh, a little bit behind the curtain, guys. The puppy just bit the inside of my leg.
And because we haven't mentioned before, puppy is Saint Furteen.
Yeah.
Yeah, good old Saint.
Oh, god damn.
I guess for weeks to come, like I said, Saint himself isn't as barky, but you might hear his effects on Buster for weeks.
Listen, we all... the missus named him Pete. I named him Saint Furteen, okay? We all know what his real name is. You know what I'm saying?
It's definitely Saint.
Apparently, guys, you're hearing a bunch of stuff at the end of this episode that tonight we're doing the first RNG 3K MST. I don't know what I'm going to name it. I'm going to name it something crazy. You guys should probably...
Yeah, like I said, it's an idea for something for patrons. Like I said, I've been tossing around for a while because it's easy to do. It's
going to be fun.
Unless we do like a freaking commentary of Lord of the Rings, it's not going to be super long.
No.
by God, who wants to actually sit through and do a commentary of Lord of the Rings because I mean, our podcast is like 3.5 hours, and those movies are like 3.5 hours. So I mean, holy crap! But yeah, like I said, that was just my ideas. Which of course, speaking of, we of course do have a patron, / the RNGcast. So if you would like to, something that hopefully we will do more regularly, probably at least 1 month at a minimum.
That seems doable.
Is what we're going to shoot for.
Yeah.
Because once a month is doable. Like, we can definitely squeeze in time once a month to be able to do this. But maybe more if we're feeling froggy, but there's no promises on that for sure. And like I said, this is still a new plan because, we are RNG, and so this is like literally the first time me and Buster are also talking about this. So
yeah, it is 100% the first time we talk about this.
Exactly. So
we're going to do the first one tonight probably because we're psychopaths.
I know, right? So there's that. So our patrons will have that to look forward to. So if you like hearing us talk and have opinions, we'll be that mystery RNG.
Yeah.
So there's that to come along. And yeah, so if you want to hear that, for us on Patreon, there's definitely a tier for the bonus podcast. I guess again we've
but we
left on the wayside.
I'm just going to say it right now. Just every patron will get it. Every patron will get it. $1.
I mean,
we'll give you the bonus podcast. We don't care anymore.
I mean, we do want to.
We owe you guys.
We do.
The
so
patrons,
I mean,
we owe you.
Yeah, because the patronship wasn't really like an extraordinarily thought out plan when it was put out, and things, like I said, got tossed in like struggle in life and things happen. But we're getting a little more. Mm-hmm. Something is happening. But either way, we'll definitely fit that more in as a bonus. I mean, any patron will be capable of accessing because we're sorry. We love you, and we do want to give it back to you. So yeah, for those crazy, wacky opinions, as little as $1 a month. I mean, and there you go. You can, if you enjoy us talking, you can have us talk over movies because that's popular.
So Des, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you while you're on the.
Okay. As I'm still going. But yeah, so you can definitely find me at DES_Raven on Twitter. Like, people are probably on our Discord. If you're on PS4, just send me an ad, DS Raven. No spaces, all one word. And definitely, if you're not in, like I said, if you're not in Discord, you can't give me a heads up that way. Having the friend request where like you're coming from, that way I'd beat your friend request because
don't be like the guy that did that to us the last time we were playing Paladins.
I know, right? It's like sent everyone in our thing a friend request, and it's like, I don't know. And when your base language is like Portuguese, I'm sorry, I speak English. I mean,
I don't know how to say no Portuguese.
If you speak another language, you can add me if you're a fan. But I mean, it's going to make communication a little hard, at least for me. So yeah, because that's the thing. But yeah, and we'll be streaming because this Average Joe is streaming our section, right? I think so.
Maybe.
Again, things will need to be ironed out in there. But, so yeah, definitely follow us on Twitter so that way we can tell you, where to go for the charity stream. Or if you're listening to this tomorrow, disregard that entirely. And, love you.
And I'm Buster Knuckle. You can find me on Twitter at BusterKnuckle13. That's BusterKnuckle13. On PSN, BlisterLister113. Once again, please send a message saying where you're from.
Yes.
You can podcast every week, this week included, on Google Play, Podbean, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, even weird ones that I've never even heard of, like Zune Market. There's people who still have Zunes.
Like, what the crap?
Thank you for listening, you 4 people.
Speaking of which, Podbean? It's a really cool app. I might be using that instead of Google.
I use Stitcher.
Doesn't mean... Well, I mean, I use Google Play normally, but Podbean's got really cool features. If you're listening to us from Podbean, like I said, I'll be checking it out. Drop us a comment on Podbean. Again, we know a lot of people read iTunes reviews. We would, but I don't use it, so there's no way I can keep track of you. I apologize. But yeah, so yeah, if you're on Podbean, drop us like a rating or comment or something. Get in touch with us there, because like I said, I'm definitely checking that out more often. Because I'm kind of becoming a Podbean guy, because I really like that app and how it works.
You can find the podcast at the RNG Cast on Twitter, and you can send us an email at the rngcast@gmail.com. We actually have several reviews.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I mean, I could read a couple.
Yeah, we could read a couple. Like, introduce them. Yeah.
Wow, far behind. I apologize to those people. This one says, super biased review. Hey guys, love the show. I've listened to every episode, and now I am a part of this amazing podcast. Wow, I know who you are now. I can't wait to see how far it goes. I know we are just here just for the love of the video games, mostly Destiny. We will keep this train moving forward no matter what happens. I'm glad to be a part of this team, and we will thank everyone that will support us. Looking forward. Known as Alex. Hey, Alex, where you been, bud?
I know, right? You could have told us about this review. I mean...
Also, where the fuck you been?
That's true, too. I see him... Actually, I don't think I've seen a stream. He normally posts many streams.
Yeah.
Alex, come back to us, baby.
Yeah, come on back. You can blame it on RNG.
So, yeah,
there's a few more, but I can,
We'll save some, I mean.
We'll do one a week. If you want to support us, please do. Dropping a review and a rating will
comments,
put us in more views of more people who might like us or might think I'm an asshole.
I mean, both are possible.
Both are actually true as well.
Yeah.
That being said, what episode is this? Holy shit.
Crap.
89? 89. We'll say it. Fuck it.
I don't know.
It's true. This is episode 89. We're out.
Later, man.
See you all next week. Stitches. I really do. I think he cut me. Yo, he got me good. Yes, he got me really good, dude.